Hello. All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Unstoppable You. This is a monthly live stream where we get you unstuck so you can reclaim your power and create happy, loving relationships. Um, I'm Amy Shade. I am your host and moderator. I am a certified life coach and emotional strategist coach who goes straight to those emotions that keep you stuck and there we go. That keep you stuck, and so you can move forward in your life and your relationships. And I want to talk into this. If you are stuck in your business and you want to increase your reach, me and my team would love to produce your next live event, and you can go ahead and reach out to me at any time. But today I want to start off with speaking into being, like being unstoppable. And I'm emphasizing the word being because doing it is just not cutting it anymore. You know, our lives are being influenced daily by uncertainty. One day it's like things are open and going, and the next they're shut down. And we're trying to really figure out, what's safe, what's the protocol here, what should we do, and what are we willing to live with. So being happy, being loving, at peace while our outside circumstances are swirling around us is so important. It's important to us. It's important to our friends, our family, our loved ones, our partners. Our being becomes the epicenter, the center of the tornado, where it's calm and quiet. And with our being, we can be unstoppable in our lives and our relationships because our being becomes the most important part of our day, our week, our month, our year. It is a driving force that inspires change because it comes from a place of knowing, a place of peace, even when everything is out of sorts. So this is the vision behind the Unstoppable You live stream. It's to foster and support our being, your being, the being of the world, right? My vision was to create a live platform and assemble these wise and heartfelt women so we can have conversations that create hope, that create strategies, and laughter. We laugh a lot on the Unstoppable. And because we can't go it alone, I learned that after the death of my fiance that, luckily my relationships really helped me through that process. One day we're on vacation and 6 weeks later he was gone. And I had to really learn how to love myself again and how to find my self-confidence. I created systems to manage my emotions, my anxiety, my fear, so I could build a new business and create a new life. And here I am. And all of the speakers with us today, we've all hit many walls, and so that's the part where it's like, after you hit the wall, what do you do? And they have great insights into really moving your life forward, because we all have the ability to be resourceful. We all have the ability to take committed action. We're going to speak on that today. I mean, whether you're in isolation and fear or in overwhelm, or maybe you're like struggling with this uncertainty, or you're in a relationship, a job, or maybe an entrepreneur who you can't ignore the breakdown anymore. Well, we at the Unstoppable are here to support you, give you new opportunities and possibilities for your life. And all of us on the panel today believe in you. Like, we believe in you and your ability to be resourceful, loving, and committed to creating change. Thank you for all your questions. I want to say that up front. I have them here. I will be distributing them through the live today and tomorrow. So tomorrow there is another live stream, April 8th at 9 a.m. we are starting. And I try to get to all of the questions, if not most of the questions, because this live is driven by you and your questions. So I really want you to feel heard. I want your questions answered. and really create strategies that work for you. So say hello in the chat box if you and tell us where are you where are you streaming, I guess zooming from, StreamYarding from. Where are you located? I'm in Los Angeles, California. I don't know if you could tell by the light. The sun is out and it's a beautiful day. Yeah, so blow up the chat box. Use the chat box during this live so we can get to you. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss the upcoming lives. As I said, this is a monthly event. How do you, I don't know how to say your name? Discanes? She's in Wisconsin. Hello, shout out to Wisconsin. And with that, Casey's from Maryland. Maryland, nice. Shout out to Maryland. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to your experts. First, I want to introduce Christelle. Let me take out of this screen. Yay, Canada! I get a lot of people from Canada. Christelle, she is, oh, hi Peggy. Peggy's in Los Angeles. Christelle is a personal alignment coach. She activates a change in people's thinking that allows you to acknowledge the power that you have so you can shift your life to a better place and achieve the results that you were never able to achieve before. Also, I do have Nora here today. Nora, she is an intuitive relationship coach, author of Simply Happy, and founder of the Simply Happy Academy and the Simply Happy Summit. She works with the emotion detox, and she's an energy healer that helps women who have experienced toxic relationship breakups or divorce, and really help them let go of the negativity of energy and to find new love again. So we have Los Angeles, Johannesburg. Woo! It's 9 a.m. here. It's 9 a.m. All right, so I'm going to introduce Christelle first, and I'm going to unmute you, Christelle. Bangladesh. I'm from Bangladesh, ma'am. Yes, thank you. So, Christelle, so beautiful to have you here. I am going to see if I can't find you here. There you go. We're moving around. So, Christelle, introduce yourself and tell us about the work that you do and what you're really seeing today with women.
Thank you, Amy, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. And thank you to all the people that join us live from all over the world. My God, Johannesburg, Bangladesh. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, guys. I don't know what time is it where you are, but whatever the time is, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here because you are the reason why we are here today. And my name is Christelle Biga. Amy, read my bio. I just want to say something that is not on my bio. I'm originally from Cameroon. That's why you hear this beautiful accent. That's why it means a lot to me to hear people, to know that people are watching from all over the world. Because where I come from, coaching wasn't even a thing, right? It's when I moved to the US that I discovered that it was something that was in alignment with what I really wanted to do in life. And my journey in this country has been a journey that required me to become unstoppable at some point. It was challenging, it was scary, and I had to really build myself up to the place where I could face all those challenges without giving up and without, you know, listening to the voice in my head telling me, just go back. You don't have to go through all of this. So I'm really happy to be here today. And because that's what I help people do, just help them face the things that they feel like unachievable. They look at their goals and they say, this is too big for me right now. This is not possible for me right now. I don't have the money. I don't have the competence. It's the lockdown. It's the pandemic. And I just help them go through all those limiting beliefs, all those little talks in their heads and make them become unstoppable. And sure enough, they just find themselves doing the things they thought impossible to do, achieving goals they thought unachievable. So that's basically what I do.
Mm. So yeah, as you're speaking, I was that person a year and a half ago. Almost like 18 months ago, maybe not. That person who had a vision and a dream to be of service, and having all kinds of limiting beliefs and past traumas and fear and anxiety. So what? How do you walk me through? What would you do with me? Walk me through that. Like, what would my experience with you like? What are you seeing with women? I'm sure many people are out there feeling like I was feeling. So can you speak into that a little bit?
Yes, women especially are really challenged by limiting beliefs, and it's understandable because as women we have to go through a lot of conditioning from the time we come on this planet. We are conditioned to sit a certain way, speak a certain way, walk a certain way, dress a certain way. So society itself makes us feel like we have to fit in a box to be good enough. So for women, it's really challenging, even when they grow up, even, when they feel like, oh, I can't speak up my truth now, I'm an adult. There is always that little voice that makes us feel like, oh, I'm not good enough. Maybe people will not like me. There is always that desire to fit in the box of a good girl.
Mm.
Unconsciously, we always want that. So the process that I take women through is really help them first. The first step is to come back to what they really want, because it seems strange, but a lot of people don't know what they want. We women end up settling for what we think is acceptable by society, even in business. Even in business, we think, okay, well, if I'm too successful, I'm going to take care of my family. If it's the people we think it's just all about the money. So we have all those limiting beliefs that sometimes we are not aware of, and that condition us even when we set goals. Even when we create that vision for ourselves, we limit ourselves. We want again to always fit into that box of people will still like me, my family will still understand me, my partner will not leave me. So we'll settle. We create something we think will be okay, achievable, and we don't go for what we really want. So the first step is really help them go through that process of making sure that what the goal, the vision they are creating for themselves is what they really want. So I help them really ask the right question to themselves in order for them to identify where that vision came from. And we know how the online world is. Everybody's posting their wins, everybody's posting their achievement, and everybody, is saying, okay, I'm a coach who wants to also make 10K months. I make 10K months in 6 days, whatever. And everybody wants now to make 10K months. But is it really what you want? So my first step is really to help them identify what is their real desire. Maybe you want 10K month, maybe 100K month, who knows? But it's really important to go after what you really want. And the second step is really to help them identify what are the stories that are stopping them from going after what they really want. Because there is a story that made them feel like, oh, that's not achievable, that's not for me, that's too much, let me go for this instead. So we identify those stories and we eliminate them. We really, especially fear is the biggest thing going on. Fear is something that is so interesting. We need that to keep us safe at some point, but at the same time, there comes time where we need to have fear sitting in the passenger seat and let us drive with
Yeah.
fear, acknowledging it and saying, hey, I see you, I thank you for trying to keep me safe, but we are safe, let's do this, right? So I help them really go through that process of identifying the stories, the limiting beliefs, the conditionings, the fears, and push through it and really go after what they want. That's
Mhm.
how they bridge the gap between where they are and what they really want. I don't know if that answers your question, Amy.
Yeah, it's getting there, definitely. Because I was sitting here going, like having this want, this desire,
Mhm,
and I'm sitting here in
mhm,
like, I don't know what to do in my uncertainty and my fear. I mean, who
mhm,
can relate to that? Put in that chat box if you can relate to like, you want something so bad, right? You have this desire, and yet I was like stuck at home, or we're stuck in a place of like, I don't know what to do next. I don't know if this is the right step. I don't know if I'm going to make a mistake. God forbid, God forbid I made a mistake. That was like, take me out for a week. So can you so here's the gap, right, that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about in between here.
Mm-hmm.
So can you speak into how can we like take small steps? How can we maybe talk a little bit into perfection or fear? Like talk about that, like that. Get kind of more specific
Mm-hmm.
about what women can do or people can do. I know I have some men on here. I think.
Yes. The first thing I want to say is that every time our brain takes us to the place of I don't know what to do,
Mm-hmm.
let's start acknowledging that it's fear. Because the conversation of I don't know what to do is not a conversation that comes from a place of power. It's easier for our brain to take us there because if you don't know what to do, of course you're not going to do anything. You're just going to sit there, and it's safer to stay where you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, because our brain is wired to keep us safe, it's going to take us there. I don't know what to do. So of course I'm stuck. I'm sitting right here. I don't know what to do. But when you already know that, okay, this is fear, I want people to start shifting, because the truth is we are powerful, and it's important to every at any given moment in your life to come from that empowered place of knowing that I have all the answers within myself, and the answers are everywhere. Any question you have, answers are all over the place. But the problem is you don't see them because your brain shuts down and say, I don't know what to do. It's a conversation of fear. When you go to that place, identify it and go through that frustration, because it's frustrating to feel like I don't know what to do. Feel the frustration, let it out. Sometimes you can journal on that and express how you feel. You can use tapping. You can use anything that really helps you go through that emotion and shift it. And from that place now, consciously change the conversation and say, this is where I'm going, and I know answers are out there. Show me what it looks like to will show me what my next step look like. It depends. Maybe you are religious, you're going to talk to God. Maybe you are spiritual or connected to yourself, and you know the answers are within yourself. Put that question out there with the trust that the answers are coming. Sure enough, maybe a friend will say something randomly that would be like a light bulb moment. You can be on Facebook and you see somebody explaining the exact same thing you needed, but you have to really come from that place of always believing, because that's the truth. Answers are always available for you. The whole universe conspires at every given moment to give you exactly what you want, but it's up to you to open up to that energy of answers are available for me, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find the answers. The answers are going to come to me, and stay in that moment. And it's important to also stay detached. Don't sit
Mm-hmm.
there and be like, I'm going to find it today, like now or at this very moment. No, let it go, because that's trust. When you trust, you don't, if you plant a flower, you don't sit there watching it. I want to make sure this flower is growing. No, you just trust that the flower is going to go, and you go by your day. That's how it goes. And then, sure enough, the answers will come. That's how you get unstuck from that place. I don't know what to do. Detachment. And I hope, and I think that also goes to perfection. Why
Yeah.
do you want things to be perfect? Because there is a story behind that hurts. It's important to identify that if I'm so afraid to fail, what's the real story behind? What's the worst thing that can happen if I fail? If I make a mistake, if things don't go the way I want it to go, what's the worst thing that can happen? Again, go through that story. Maybe journal on that. Do any thing that can really help you go to the bottom of that and identify the real reason why you are so afraid to show up, because you're afraid to make a mistake. You can make a mistake and nobody's going to die, right? You're not a doctor that is, in a surgery room. It's not like that kind of mistake. So why are you so afraid? So identify the reason why you are afraid, where that story comes from. Sometimes working with clients, those stories come from their childhood. Maybe they made
Yeah.
a mistake one day and a parent, overreacted on that mistake. Now all of a sudden they have a story of I cannot make a mistake because the whole world's gonna be against me. That's not the truth. So identify those stories and look at them and realize that it's just stories. Nothing's going to happen if you make a mistake. And at the end of the day, it's not really a mistake. Maybe you learned one thing that doesn't work. That's something, that's a win. Now you know at least one strategy that doesn't work. How powerful is that? Next
Yeah.
time you will do something different. So that's help you go over perfectionism, because when you detach yourself from the need to be right, the need to get it right the first time, it makes it easier for you to show up.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say from being a reformed perfectionist,
You retired?
I am retired. I am retired because it was too much for me. It was too heartbreaking. It
Mm,
was too stressful. I was so hard on myself that I couldn't make a move.
mm,
And it was a painful experience for me, this perfectionism. And I want to speak into a couple of things. One is like what you're really speaking into. You can't, when we're on lockdown like this, there's no room for opportunity and growth.
mm,
And that when you look at, this is what shifted for me actually, was in our community of my business community. It's like, every mistake, everything is actually an opportunity for you to grow. Like that shift for me was like, oh God, there's an opportunity here for me to show up better, loving, more. Okay, good, Louis. Really show up as myself. But I do want to. I have a question for you because I think this is from the audience. Unless you want to comment on that.
mhm. Yes, yes, you're right, because that's what I was saying. It's
Yeah.
not a mistake. It's just you learned. It's if you shift that perspective, it's so powerful to know that actually now I know one thing that doesn't work. I know one way that doesn't work. So it's a plus instead of,
Yeah.
oh, I screwed up, right? So that shift really speaks to what you just said. It's an opportunity to at least find out one way that doesn't work, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I used to fear that mistake so much. But okay, so here we go. Someone asked, and I think you're a perfect coach for this. Is how to believe in myself again? I mean, many of us have been hit so hard, and with either our relationships or financially or whatever it is, it's like, how do you start to believe in yourself again when somehow that belief is lost in somewhere else?
Yes, I can hear that because it's really something that no one on this planet can say they never went through. This place of doubting yourself and feeling like there is no way I can make this, right? I failed. Because again, our brain keeps record. Our subconscious mind keeps those stories to keep us safe. Because when we failed the first time, it was painful. It hurt. So we don't want to go through that pain again. Our brain is like, okay, let's make sure it doesn't happen again. Let's make sure this hurt doesn't happen again. So we are scared, and it's inhuman. It's human to look back and say, hey, I tried before, it didn't work out and it was so painful. I don't think I can try again. I don't think I can do this again. I don't think this is even for me. I
Mm.
don't think I'm cut for this. That's really a place where it's really important to feel that but not stay there, right? Because when you stay there, you're already giving off on you the rest of your life. Right now, when you're in that place, just look at this. I have a way when I was growing up. I had a way to move on when boyfriend would break up with me. I would cry, and then the moment I would just think in my head, while I'm crying right now, maybe he's laughing somewhere with another girl. I would shift.
Oh my
I
God.
would be like, I'm enough, I'm out, right? So I don't know if that helps someone, but just think about it. When you are sitting in that place of, I'm not cut for this, I'm not meant to be happy, I'm not meant to have this because I have tried so many times and didn't work. Just think about it. Hey, if I sit here and keep thinking or living that story, that's it. The rest of my life, I'll be sitting here. Do you want that? I don't think so. And from that place, maybe you can shift like, no, 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 no. We have to do something about it. I can't sit here. I can't just live this life. That's why it's so important to have a vision. Where do you want your life to be? What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your relationship or your business to look like? Right now, maybe it feels like painful because it didn't work out the way it's not what you thought it would be, but just revive the vision in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, and feel that fire. It will wake you up and be like, no, this is not what I want. That's why it's so important to know what you want. And if your life right now doesn't look exactly the way you want, refuse. You don't have to be there. If it doesn't matter what happened in the past, we gave you already one tool that allows you to realize that it wasn't that bad. You learn things that don't work maybe in your relationship. Now you know the things that you want in a relationship, the things that you don't want. It's a better place now to show up in a different relationship, knowing what you want and what you don't want. If you try the strategy in your business that didn't take you where you want to be, instead of you sitting there and be like, well, I've tried everything, I've spent all my money, nobody's, giving me what I expect. Remember that now I know things that don't feel good in my business. Now I know the things that don't work for me, what works for me. And the reason why also people stay in that place is they're looking around them. They're
Mm.
looking what other people are doing, and it
Mhm.
hurts because they feel like I can't do that. I can't be that person. I can't, be this successful, this powerful. The first thing is that social media is not real life. People prepare, usually they prepare before they show up online. So don't feel defeated watching somebody's Instagram story. They prepare that Instagram story to show up that way. So it doesn't mean everything is perfect. So it doesn't matter what your life looks like right now. The bottom line is you can do something about it. You definitely can. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. You have what it takes. First starts with you shifting that perspective of I don't want to stay here. It's up to you. Do you want to stay right there, or you want to go after what you want? That's the first step that is so important, because nobody can make you get where you want to be if you don't want to, if you're not ready to. It doesn't matter the coach you will hire, it doesn't matter the program you will sign up for. It has
Yep.
to come from that place of you be saying, this is not the life I want. This is not the type of relationship I want. This is not the type of how I want my business to feel like. This is what it looks like. And I'm going there. I'm going after that. That will help you.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting because I don't know if you're going to agree with this or not, but believing in yourself is like there is an innate belief, but if that's been you have past stories or traumas, that's it's hard to get through that. Belief in yourself is really uh how come I have an echo? I'm going to mute you for a second. There you go. So having belief in yourself for me is also making these small wins that you can start proving to yourself on some like I have this thing about like earning my life. I feel like I really earned my life because I've gone through a lot and I really decided to make those changes. So I did start believing in myself by making incremental changes. Um, and can you do you want to speak into that? Can you unmute yourself? Sorry.
Yes. Yes, I love that. And that there's one tool that, I also share with people a lot is write your success list.
Mhm.
It's so important to remind your brain that, hey, we get things right. It happens, right? Write a list of 10 things that you don't write. It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you just gave birth. Maybe you learned how to ride a bike. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be this life changing moment, right? It just has to be something you did for the first time and you got it right. One of the things that I put in my list when the first time I did that was an experience that I had as a kid. I was really shy. Hard to believe now, I know. but I was but I was really shy, and I couldn't say a word if I wasn't around people that I know, and it was terrible. I had to go now to high school, and none of my, classmates were going to the same high school, so I was scared to death. But I had read a piece of article because I loved reading. That was my escape. I read a
Mhm.
piece of article that was sharing tips on how to overcome shyness. And I remember this one tip, the way they were saying, when you get somewhere where you don't know anyone, just look at one person that seems friendly, go to say hi to that person. That's the first step. You start doing that, sure enough, it'll become easier for you. So I'm there first day in high school. Thousands of students are there. It's the first day, and I'm freaking out. I'm standing there. I don't know where to go, and I don't know who to go to. Then I remember that article, and I'm like, well, I guess this is the time. I don't have a choice right now. So I look at one girl that seemed friendly. I walked to her. My heart was racing. Walked to her, and then I said, "Hi, excuse." She said she was so bubbly. She said, "Hi," and I say, "Excuse me, I'm looking for my classroom. I don't know where to go." She said, "Yeah, me too. Lista over there. Let's go." How about me doing? My name is Vanessa, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's actually nice." And she became my best friend for high school during the whole high school time. So From that moment, I realized that, oh, I can actually talk to a stranger and nothing bad's going to happen. That was for me a badass moment. And it's on my list. So you have things like that in your life that just remind you that there are things that were scary, even if it's little, that you were able to do. There was thing maybe the first time you cooked, you didn't do it, but the dish was perfect. People were praising you. It can be anything, but fine. And sometimes people tell me, I can't find 10 things. I'm like, just that. Our brain is like a computer. You give it a command, it will figure it out. If you say we need 10 things to put on this list, 10 great things that we have achieved, sure enough, you will start writing first thing, second thing, and then you'll be like, oh, I forgot about this. And you will end up with 10 things. Have that list ready. Post it in the mirror if you need to. When you brush your teeth every morning, look at that to remind yourself over and over again that you're not a failure. You got things right. And you actually nailed a lot of things. So that's just a little tip.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I could see how people, they want that big success, that big thing that you were talking about earlier. Sorry, I'm going to mute you again. I don't know what's going on. But it's really the small things that really make life a beautiful experience. It really grounds you because it's so in your wheel. It's like it's so in your area, like your small area. It's not in your big area. It's like the small things that really ground you to life. Um, I appreciate that because often we're chasing the big rainbow, and and we don't even know we're not even starting from a place that's loving and like self love. Like I was talking to a potential client the other day, and she had said, I'm doing my vision board. I'm putting my vision up there, but I don't want, I was like, but I don't want too much money, or I don't want too many clients, or I don't want too many, right? So she's actually doing a vision board coming from these conditions of restrictions. Can you speak into that? Because I know, I'm sorry about that. So, can you speak into that?
Yes, that's what I was talking about earlier, saying
Yeah.
people, create visions or goals from a place of like they are limiting themselves. They are conditioned. For example, that woman, if you want to talk about her example, there is a story around money that needs she needs to take care of because there is something in her that feels like there is something bad about having a lot of money. And a lot of people have that story because society makes you feel that way. Oh, you're just all about the money. Well, money is not everything in life. We always have those stories about money that makes us subconsciously think that there is something wrong about having a lot of money. We judge people that have a lot of money. We think that they did something bad to be where they are. If you have those conditioning, of course, you're not going to make a lot of money. And sometimes we don't even realize how those stories are affecting us because even when she say, "Oh, I don't want a lot of money," doesn't matter the quantity. Money is money. It's the same energy. Doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or you just have $100 in your bank account. It's the same energy. It's your leadership that takes you to become a billionaire, or you just have $100 in your bank account. Same energy. Money will show up in your life the way you see it, the way you allow it to. So if you already judging money, saying, "Oh, if you had asked her why you don't want to have a lot of money, she will have come up with the story. Well, it's not a good thing. I don't want to become this. Rich people do that. All those stories it's an energy that is pushing money away from your life because we are all energy. And it's like when you meet somebody for the first time, there is something sometimes that just tells you, I don't like this person's vibe. It's their energy, and
Yeah.
you want to stay away. So money will feel like that. You feel, this girl judges me. This person feels like I'm a bad thing. It's terrible to have me around. So I'm just gonna stay right here and leave the person over there. And you're struggling your whole life to make money. You don't know that your energy, money doesn't feel your vibe. So you're just gonna stay away.
Yes, and having that vibe is so important with money, and how you think about it and grow up around it. Maybe we could talk about money in a hot topic section because I think it's interesting, and I think our relationship with money is always something to really foster and to really care for and to really nurture. So maybe we could pop that into the roundtable after. Looks like we are missing Emma, so we're going to go to that. So, but first, I know you have a complimentary session that you're offering our listeners, and you know, Christelle is an I don't, well, you can hear it. She's awesome. She's focused. She's, you know, really excited and committed to making change. So, can you speak into that?
Yes, as I was sharing during my talk, a lot of people are in that place of I don't know what to do. I don't know what my next step is. That's why I'm offering this session. You know, it's a complimentary 30-minute session to help them go through any limiting belief that is stopping them from having the clarity they need to find their next step. So during that session, we go through that, and also I give you a tool that you use on a daily basis. Every time you find yourself in that story of I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, you can use that to clear your mind and open up to receiving the answers you need for your next step.
Yeah, thank you. Because uncertainty will definitely keep you stuck. And we at the Unstoppable, that's our first two words in our tagline: get unstuck. It's like we have to create that ease around what we truly desire and want. So thank you for that, Christelle. And next we have Nora. We have this is beautiful about a live event is keeps you in flow. So Nora is going to speak and introduce yourself and say hello to everybody. Nora, I think you're muted right now. Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'm very happy to be here today with you. My name is Nora Shulig, and I'm an intuitive relationship coach, and I help women who have come through difficult life situations such as divorce, breakup, and broken heart to heal and to find love again. And I basically guide them through the process of moving from fear to love. So it's very important transformational process for everybody who has experienced the broken heart of any kind, because we all had, and it just is very important to release all that stuff that's blocking us and keeps us stuck. And in order to move into better situations, better relationships, in order to have more confidence, more abundance and vitality, because it affects everything. So my main mission is to help women with broken hearts to not only to put a patch on that broken heart, but to really heal that.
Mm-hmm. So it says you're an intuitive relationship coach. Can you talk into the intuitive part? What does that look like? What does that mean? Can you get into that?
Yeah, and this intuitive part means that I work on this deep level when we heal those traumas and blockages and all this emotional baggage. And I tune into the energy of everybody I work with, whether it's in person or in one-on-one coaching sessions or in my programs, because it's very essential to release all those all this pain which our soul has experienced, to really live to our life to the fullest and to experience more joy and love. So this intuitive part is more about tuning into the energy of the other people in order to help them to clear it. Because a lot of times, even though we all are intuitive and we all can be healers to ourselves, oftentimes it's not possible for many people because they're closed up. They stop trusting themselves, and they actually don't see their power. Because what I usually see is that, and what I also help women with, is that they are afraid of their power. Actually, we aren't afraid so much of our dark side, but we are, most of the time, when we have some problems, we are afraid of our own power and our own light. So we tend to be afraid that it shines too bright, that we are too much. And that's what it all means. And and we clear these energy blocks and traumas and wounds, everything that's connected to the situation that was experienced by the person.
So, as an intuitive, basically, if I was to go to you as a relationship, having trouble with my relationship or a breakup, the intuitive part, when I'm speaking, what are you doing as an intuitive?
Well, as I already said, I tune into the energy of the person, and I can see also, I work with different methods, and I tune into the energy where I can see the blocks, even though the person can't see that there are some blind spots or some black places, and I can feel them, and I can intuitively come to the core wounds, even though the person can't, or maybe is afraid to remember, or is something that is suppressed or not. The person maybe doesn't want to see that, and because it was very painful, and well, I can feel those wounds or pain, and I can help them unstuck that. So.
So, right now, are you because of COVID and all that? Are you experiencing more clients who are breaking up and divorcing, or are you seeing an influx? Or tell me about what's going on with relationships right now in your part of the world.
Yeah, that's well, I'm based in Europe, and I think it's the same all around the world. So this situation is very challenging for people, for couples, and for families, because all of a sudden they started to live actually under one roof, because before that they usually went to work, they spent their whole day at work, and then they came back, and they saw each other for, I don't know, 1 hour, 2 hours, and they weren't that much used to each other, and all of a sudden they had to spend time together. So that's very difficult for many people, and they are not used to living with each other, because maybe there was this initial spark in the relationship, but well, these butterflies disappeared after some time, and they find it very hard to live like this. So, well, I would say that, yeah, there is an influx of people who are experiencing this kind of situations, and they're breaking hearts to each other, but it's something that can be avoided, or something that can be improved. And I also help people who are in a relationship, and maybe the relationship got worse, or is not so much, or is not so good as it used to be. So it's not only that I work with people who are already broken up with, who have already broken up with someone or divorced, but also we heal those relationships which are not, which are kind of broken, but still there is some room for improvement, or for more joy, and for more love. So yeah, that's how I experienced it this last year. So I either help people heal the relationship they are already in, or more people also came to me who experienced like many breakups or divorce because of this situation, because it's harder.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you, what would you recommend? You are, I know Europe, you went down on lockdown again, and that you are with a spouse that you want to leave and get out of. I have many people who are like unhappy in their relationship. Let's do two things. It might be the same thing where, what tips can you give her on how to really be more reconciled, more peaceful in that relationship, while you want to get out, so it's frustrating, but you're stuck?
Yeah, the very first thing I recommend is, because of the situations when you can't go out, you need to go within. So the first step is to tune into yourself and stop being soulless, because many people are so much disconnected and spiritually disconnected, and they lost they lost trust listening to their soul. And that's the very first thing, because we can't change somebody else, that's for sure, but we can change the energy we are in and we have, and we also can heal those wounds we experienced. But if you tune in, and it can be a prayer, it can be a meditation, it can be just breath work, it can be some very easy thing, but if you do that and you do it regularly, and I also recommend my students, my clients, people I work with, to do that every day, at least twice. I mean, in the morning, right after you wake up, and in the evening before you go to sleep, because it's such powerful approach for each of us. And it doesn't matter whether somebody is spiritual or is open or is closed up or is religious, whatever. It goes across all these fields. But if you do that on really daily basis, like in the morning and in the evening, you can start healing yourself just with this very simple step. You may be using some meditations, use it in the morning or in the evening, or you may be used to pray. So pray and leave some space for you, and let also your soul send you signals and signs, and listen to it, because it's very, very important what your soul has to say. And in those silent moments you spend with yourself, it can be also breath work, because for many people who are not familiar or not so used to meditations or prayers, they can use breath work. So it's these silent moments, when you have them regularly with yourself, they really can help you restore this imbalance, and also see more clearly, because we can't see what we can do, for example, in a broken marriage or a relationship that's not working properly, because we can't see. We have some kind of fog, and we just see these negative feelings or feel them, and we tend to accuse maybe the other person for not treating us right, and we are sad, feel abandoned or whatever. And that's the fog we need to dissolve, and we can start doing it. The very first step I would recommend, and every time I recommend, to tune into yourself, because it's the place from where you can take all this wisdom and peace and the right answer. So that's the very first.
I think I think like the unstoppable you, the you is capitalized. Like, the you. And I think when the frustration is that we're looking outside of ourselves. That's where the frustration, the agitation happens. And can you talk about when you do, for me, when you're speaking and you're talking about going in and using breath work and meditation, take the time for yourself, it always puts you back in the driver's seat. Like, it gives you back your responsibility, right? Can you add a little bit to that? That's what I'm feeling. I'm like, whenever I do that, the responsibility goes back on me, and then I have choice.
Yeah, because that's the choice. And when you said that you are sitting in a driver's seat, it kind of reminded me of another example, because when we don't do this and we maybe think that we are in the driving seat, there is this maybe the brakes aren't working and we hit something, or maybe we don't have any GPS or any map, or we don't know where we are going. And if you want to be in a state of mind, and also when you want to have this inner power, you definitely need to be in the driver's seat, but not only to sit there, but to take the wheel, start the car, have the GPS, and get going. Because without that, just sitting there wouldn't help, because maybe many people think, and I I constantly come across this when talking to many people, that they think that when they read some motivational book, when they watch some inspirational show or whatever, something like this, that they will really change something in their lives. Yeah, they will, but that's a very, very tiny step. And if they don't do anything internally, like if they don't change and transform negative vibes and the fears, because I usually tend to say that all the negativity is under fear and all the positive feelings are under love. So that's why I also say move from fear to love. So move from these negative feelings to those loving vibes. And if you go and sit in the driver's seat and take the wheel, that means that you taking the wheel is that you have made a decision to change something and to go somewhere else than you are now. That's the wheel. And when you start the car, that means that you already have some method and you already have some kind of power that drives you and that pushes you forward. And if you start, if you get going and if you really take the car for a ride, then the ride happens. Yeah, and you may meet different things on this ride, but it definitely is something that you are the master master of, and you can do something about it, and it can take you to another place than you are right now. So that's just a parallel to how important that is. So not just only like feel that it's okay just to motivate myself. Yeah. I need to do the next step in order to change something in my life.
Yeah, because I think, I'm sure we have heard it out there in, all over the world who's watching, and you could put the chat box if this either relates to you or someone you know. They're still talking about the breakup they had 10 years ago or even 15 years ago. For some, it's 30 years ago. And we have this, it's like keeping that breakup and is keeping us kind of like a hostage, right? It's keeping us stuck and a hostage. So how do you help people move on from the anger, from the breakup? It could be, someone cheated on them, or someone lied to them, or, but how, we've all heard it, right? Where it's like, when did this happen? They're like 20 years ago. You're like, it sounds like it just happened like last week. That's how much anger they're holding on to. So can you speak into that? Like, can you speak into how you help? Do you mainly work with women?
Yeah, I basically work with women. Yeah.
It's like how you help them with releasing that anger, because I know we often as women have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that we're angry, but yeah. We've all been there.
Yeah.
As women, we're very emotional, and that's like when we're in fear and pain, we grab right onto that anger and just let it live there.
So on one hand, it's very good to release this acknowledge the anger. But what I usually see is that people think that time heals all wounds, So many people think that, it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and I don't know why I'm still feeling like that. But many people buried these emotions, deep down. So they still have them, they still can feel them, act upon them, but they don't acknowledge them. So the very first step is to see how and what I really feel. Because if there is anger, hatred, or whatever feeling that there might be, it's very bad if we can't acknowledge these negative feelings. Because if we don't, we can't release them, because we don't know what we would be releasing. And if there is still a lot of pain, which definitely there is, if somebody is talking about it, for example, from this example, like for 20 or 15 years, it's and what I always do with women is that we work on forgiveness, because if we don't let go of this negativity, we can't move on, because it keeps us stuck, and it prevents us from moving anywhere. And we do it, and I teach them a very simple kind of mantra we use. It's this mantra. There was a healer, and there is a healer who is very acknowledged over here, and he taught me this, and it's really very powerful, very easy, but it can create a profound healing for everybody who uses that. So if there is something from the past, and maybe there is this hatred coming from the relationship with some ex-partner, or maybe there is still a partner who is toxic and you need to do something about it. Maybe you have the feeling, or you thought that you have already forgiven this person. But usually if there is this negativity, then the forgiveness hasn't happened or wasn't that profound. So it still keeps you stuck somewhere. So if you want to, or anybody who is watching this is who wants to release this kind of negativity, this mantra is very easy. So you can note it down or just remember it, because you just need to go into a very simple visualization, and it's just you close your eyes and do some breath work, and imagine that person. That person might be living still next to you or with you, or the person might be living in another relationship right now, or maybe dead. So it doesn't matter where the person who treated you badly, or who you perceived as the person treated you badly, because that's usually what we allow people, how they treat us and how they can do, or what they can do to us. So if you still feel negativity for this person, imagine that person and tell him or her, I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. It's not a Ho'oponopono kind of mantra. It's even more powerful. This is a very ancient one, and it's very, very healing. If you say this, say it again and again for at least 3 to 5 minutes. So I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. And you will see what will happen. The energy starts shifting, and it's very, very good if you do it many times, because if there is a strong negative feeling, even if there was one, like this anger, for example, then it's very, very good to repeat that until you feel neutral, until you feel loving vibes to that person. I mean, no matter what that person did to you. And also, another very, very important thing is you need to forgive yourself, because you still keep these emotions stuck somewhere. They are trapped inside your energy. And if you do that for yourself too, so you can also have your eyes closed and imagine not the person, imagine yourself, and tell this to you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. And again, 3 to 5 minutes, because it has very, very healing effect. And what you can do more for yourself is, and I also teach this to women, and they are really happy about it, because it helps. They cry when they do it, and they release a lot of emotions. And you can do it in front of the mirror. You look into your eyes, because you look into your soul that way, and say these words to you too. So I love you, I accept you, I forgive you, again for 3 to 5 minutes. And if you do that for you more times, you will see how much negativity will be released, and shifts begin to happen. So that's something that's easy, but if you do that and do it more times, it helps.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. As you're speaking those words, I love you, I accept you, I forgive you, already like bring a calm to me, because it's a gift to let people go. It's a gift for yourself, right? It's a gift to really release them of their responsibility.
Yeah, because usually if there are some feelings like this we've been talking about, like hatred kept inside for 20 years, there is still this energetic cord, and you need to cut that and let the person go and let yourself be free, because otherwise it's still the rope between you, this energetic kind of rope, and you can't move on because you still like push this person, or this person does something to, even though you don't live together, even though it's long ago. So it's very, very important to do that, not only for you but also for that person, because if you let go, then really something new can happen, and you can't start a new relationship, a relationship that will be different than the previous ones, unless you cut the cord, and unless you energetically close that previous relationship or relationships, because that's something that many people don't realize, that then they ask, why do I meet the same person in another body again? That is something that's very it's a mystery, but it's actually not, because you just need what you vibrate, and all of this. So it's, as it was also said, it's energy, and what we vibrate, that we attract. And if we have this negativity, we will definitely attract somebody who will do the same to us, maybe in another way, but we would end up feeling the same. So we need to close up or close those relationships, energy of those relationships that were in the past, and then we can meet and create a new one, which will be the one we really desire or want. And but we just can have what we have. So we need to raise our vibes, and we need to release all that stuff. So that's sounds easy. It's not, it doesn't happen overnight, but it can be a very natural process. And
so let's do this. I'm going to put you, let's see if this works. What I was thinking was, yes, why don't you take us in that mantra for a bit? Why don't you lead us in that mantra? And how about some breath work and a mantra? Are you open?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, you're up.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay, here we go. So close your eyes, and it's very important that you are not driving or doing any activity right now. Just create a safe space around you for the next 3 minutes, and close your eyes and start breathing very calmly, like deep breath in and deep breath out. So inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And right now, we are going to do something very, very good for you. And this will be a gift to you and to your soul. Now, imagine yourself in front of you. It can be as you can see it yourself in a picture, a photo, or it can be a movie. It doesn't matter. It can be closer to you or further. But imagine yourself. And at first, if you can decide, you can hug yourself. You can give yourself a tight hug. And now start saying this to yourself. And you can say it out loud, or you can say just silently to yourself. It doesn't matter. It's all about energy. So you can really, really trust this process, and especially you. So right now, focus on yourself. And maybe you can see and locate some spot in you as you're looking at yourself that is painful. It can be in your physical body, or it can be somewhere around you in your energy field. It doesn't matter where you feel or see or hear it, because you can see in different ways, either see, hear, or feel, and just locate that pain. Because there was something in the past that hurt you, that you let maybe somebody to hurt you, and you still carry this pain, not only for that person, but especially for you. And it's in you, it's stuck somewhere. So if you can locate this spot inside your physical body or your energetic body. And when you feel and see or hear that spot, just focus on it for the next, let's say, 3 minutes or so, and be very gentle. Maybe it will be somehow not natural to you to say these things to you, but it's okay. It's all right. But if you want to do something nice to yourself today, just follow the process, surrender, and let it flow. Focus on that spot, and right now, say exactly to that spot, I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. You keep saying this to yourself, to this spot, and also see how this spot, this painful spot, is releasing and it's dissolving this pain, and the pain is going away. Just repeat this to you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. See how it is melting and going away. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. I love you, I accept you, I forgive you. And keep going for so long. I mean, how long you need. Take your time, because this is a very profound healing process, and you can do this, as I said, every morning when you wake up and every night when you go to sleep, and especially at night, because if you go to sleep with this healing and this energy work, and you feel much more lighter, and not only will have a better sleep, but you also wake up with more energy, vitality, and also better feeling about yourself. So I invite you to do this as much as you can, and you really will see the results very soon.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Thank you for
You're
that.
welcome.
And I know you have another gift for our audience. I'm going to put it into the chat box, your free gift, which is Open to Love Again.
Yeah. That's a healing meditation, and you are invited to grab it, and to also program into yourself so much love and compassion to yourself. And you can do it with this guided meditation. So it also has healing properties, but it also can help you to increase and raise your loving vibes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nora, for leading us through that. Elizabeth says, I love it. Thank you. Louis, like, love it. Getting centered. Yeah, we all need that time and space to center, to release others. And so we can really be happy and loving in our lives and our relationship. So now we have 4. Now we are 4. So what's going to happen is, Emma, why don't you quickly introduce yourself to us? You are, I'll quickly do something. Emma is your yoga teacher and author, wellness coach who helps people feel good and make positive changes in their lives. So why don't you say hello real quick before we go into the roundtable? You need to unmute yourself. Um, so we can. There you go. Hello, Emma.
Hi guys, nice to meet you all. Thanks for having me here. So yeah, I'm over in the UK and got a little bit muddled up with my time zone conversion, so I was a few
Yes.
minutes late.
So tell us a little bit about yourself before we go into the roundtable.
So
Thank
I've
you,
been
Nora.
a yoga teacher for a long time, 18 years, but I've actually moved from just doing yoga into working with women who are struggling with fertility and specializing in that area. And I also, the type of yoga that I do is yoga that's really therapeutic, because I had a really bad, painful back for literally about 5 years, maybe even longer than that. So I kind of had to redo my yoga and come back to this more therapeutic form of yoga, and then just work with one-on-one with the ladies who want to become mums.
Yeah, so I'm excited to dive into that and see how you help women with fertility and their bodies. I'm sure yoga's into that too, where you take care of your body also with if you're trying to have a baby. But right now we're gonna jump to the roundtable section, and I'm going to popcorn questions in. And Nora kind of inspired me to maybe for us to share our mantras or our words that help us in our daily life, in our relationships, our business, or whatever it is. Like, what's the first thing you say to yourself when things are going not so much your way? Who? I have mine, but who? Okay, Emma, what's the thing you say to yourself when things are like going a little bit astray?
So the thing I say is, wherever you go, your love is there to greet you. And it's something that my mum used to tell me, and I never really understood what it meant. But, when things are going badly and there's lots of fear coming up, wherever you go, your love is there to greet you. And that really helps me.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
yeah, and for me, when I feel like, nothing is moving, or, things are just completely shut down, I just say to myself, there is always a way. There is always a way.
I love that because then it gives you like opportunities to find
Yeah.
those ways.
Yes.
Nora, what do you have?
Well, for me, it's a very simple sentence. And when I feel down, or something is not going the way I wanted it to go, I always say to myself, I deserve love, or in other words, I'm worthy of love. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind when I feel not well.
And how does that shift you when you say that? What's the shift for you?
The shift is that because I believe that every problem we have in the world is based on a lack of love, and on that people who do something bad to other people, they definitely feel that they are not worthy of love. And if something goes wrong, there is always the lack of love. And it helps me remind myself very easily that I am loved, I allow, and I can be loved, and there are myriads of love around me. So I just need to see it. If something is dark, I need to see the light.
Yeah. So the sentence I say to myself is because, as you know, running a business and having a life and getting it all together, I always say, when things are going haywire, I always say, life is happening. It's like life is actually showing up for me, right? It's happening. So I'm like, how can I get in there and show up for it? How can I get in there and get in the arena, as Brene Brown says? Like, yeah, how do you get in there and really... life is happening. It's there to show you. It wants you to come up to it. So that's my thing. Louis says, for me, my mantra for 2021 is choose courage over comfort. Yes. I love that one too. Because often we think we have to feel good in our change. And that's one thing I've learned in the last year and a half. You can't wait to feel good. You have to you have to move from a place of like, I don't know. Thank you for that, Louis. Love that. So Anyone else want to dive into that? Because I do have a enticing question from the audience.
Yeah, I mean, just to say it's important for each one of us, to create something because we know each other. We can share our mantras here, but if somebody just copies them and pastes them, it might not make them
Yeah.
shift the way it does for us. So it's important to know yourself and know where, you usually tell a story that is not helping you and shift that story, tell yourself a different story anytime you need it to make sure the new mantra or story you create for yourself really helps you move forward.
Yeah, so right, and this is why I have this such as this so that people can see we all have our own way. There's no one right way, there's no cookie cutter way, and we as women, like, the beauty is how different we are and how we can really implement the idea of a mantra in our own way. Thank you for that, Crystal. I'm into that too. So if you have a mantra, put it in the chat box so we can celebrate it. I know Louis put hers in. Because, these small little things that we were talking about earlier, these small little things are the thing that actually keep us moving forward towards our vision and toward what we want. All right, so I do have a question here from Monica who says, why is love so hard? It shouldn't be. So, this is interesting. Why is love so hard? Because it shouldn't be. So, who wants to, Peggy, to thine own self be true? Yes, Peggy. Good mantra. Emma, you want to jump into this question that Monica has for us?
Well, I'll have a go. I feel like when things come up and relationships, things, they kind of highlight the areas that are needing more love. So usually when something's going wrong in your life, it's just showing you part of yourself. It's showing you whether it's a remembrance, a lesson, a shadow part of yourself. And I have found that if I can look within and try and love myself and bring the love into that situation, then things will be easier to handle.
Mm-hmm. But do you believe that love is hard?
Yes, I do believe that love, I think that relationships are hard, but love is always easy. And I think that there's a difference there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I am a single mummy, so I am not in a relationship at the moment. So I obviously haven't had successful relationships yet, but I've learned a lot from them. But I've got to the point where there's enough love in me and in my life and around me to not need it or feel like I'm lacking anything from not being in a relationship. But hopefully that won't be the case forever. So I think it's different, the relationship and the love. But I get completely what you're saying.
Who wants to jump in?
I mean, yes, what I would say to that is I personally like to say things that empower me. So if I feel like something is hard, I want to shift that and say, okay, there is something that I'm missing. So instead of me saying it's love is hard, I would say there is something that I'm missing when it comes to maybe love or relationships, and I'm ready to see it. Because when I say already it's hard, I feel like I'm setting myself up to struggling. Like, well, I'm struggling because of course it can be easy, but I know it can be easy. And sometimes I just find examples to remind myself or tell my brain, yeah, it's possible. It's possible for it to feel good. It's possible for it to be flowy. And the first time I heard somebody share with me that their parents never argued, they were always getting along, it seemed like it's impossible because I had that story of people always fight, people always, argue and all of that. And then all of a sudden I had an example of, no, it doesn't have to always be fighting and arguing and all of that. There is something else available. And that helps me, shift to that place of, oh, it's actually possible to have the exact relationship I want. Maybe I'm missing something now, not because it's hard, other people are doing it. So what am I missing? So that's what I can say to that.
Mm-hmm. Nora, what's your take?
I agree with everything that was said, and what comes to my mind is that love is light. So it's definitely, the feeling itself is not hard. What's hard and what's pulling us down is all those negative emotions and fears we have, and those fears are reflected in those relationships we have. So love as such is a very light feeling, and we only make it complicated, and we only see it reflected as hard if we have an unhappy relationship, or if we are not satisfied with something. So that's basically what's been said already, but I see it as a light, so it's something that's really light.
Yeah, so thank you for that. Yeah, so I want to speak into two things. One, if love is hard, it's like many times you have that thought. And I've been there because I used to have a big barrier, a shut off, because I wouldn't let love in, my self love, right? So I wouldn't let self love in, so then love was hard. So I didn't have love for myself, so love was hard. Second thing, I have this thing which I truly believe. I have a YouTube video on it, is I know you love me, but do you like me? Right? I think I know you love me, but do you like me? I was like, because I was in a marriage where he loved me, but he really didn't like me. I think the friendship part is where we really, where love, we think it's love is hard, is when, but we don't really take the time to foster ease and fun and just a friendship and just have that essence of lightness, is when love becomes hard. I believe, because I think my husband really loved me in his way, but we had no friendship. We didn't have that base of like just communication and just having that ease and fun. So yeah, I think there's lots of takeaways here. I mean, maybe if you're in a relationship, you need to love yourself more, or maybe if you're in a relationship, maybe you need to foster your friendships. Anyone else want to add anything to that? Yes.
It comes up a lot with the clients who are trying to get pregnant, because
Yeah.
the co-creating part of their relationship is usually the most fun part, and where people kind of like meet each other after a row or whatever. But when people are struggling with their fertility, that can really, really, it can be like a big, huge problem. And so when we work with women, it kind of helps to reframe and reset that. And it's something that you can do for yourself rather than waiting for someone else to kind of change.
Mm-hmm. And Peggy really switched her thinking. She says, I used to think I was unloved because I wasn't in a romantic relationship. Then I realized dozens of people love me, kids, siblings, friends, parents. You know, it was a light bulb moment. It's like appreciating those people that in front of you who do love you, who you love. Anyone want to speak into Peggy's comment? I think that's so important.
I can.
No. Okay.
It's that gratitude, because also when you practice these gratitude moments each and every day, it's I mean, it's getting more visible, because maybe from the perspective of unfulfilled life or broken relationships, it may seem that it's all dark. But if you really start with appreciating every single little thing in your life every day, then you start seeing really myriads of love and a lot of happiness that's already there. Because many people think that one day when they find the true love or the great relationship or whatever, then they will feel love then. But in order to find that, you need to feel it inside for yourself, and you also need to give it away. So it's very important to see love and practice gratitude every step of the way, because that's where more love comes from. You can manifest more love if you already feel it and see it. And the crucial thing is to see it, because it's around us every time and everywhere. We just need to open our eyes and start seeing it.
True. Crystal, you want to?
I think
Go ahead, Jenna.
Yes, yes. So what I could say is just that whatever Peggy did is so beautiful because those are the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important when in that negative space of I'm unloved, I'm unworthy, just stop for a second because one thing we have to remember is that we are not our thoughts. We can really step back and listen to the conversations that we're entertaining in our minds, in our heads, and just ask for ourselves to ourselves for a second, is it true? Is it actually true? Because for Peggy, she made it truth for a little while until she stopped and realized that no, this is not true. Actually, I am loved. But that story, she could have stayed there and felt that way and probably reflected that to the rest of the world when it wasn't the truth. So this is a perfect example just to remind people that any story that is taking you to a dark place, just stop for a second, ask yourself, is this true? And start looking for evidence that supports the new story you want. And she found evidence by looking around her, seeing the love from her family, from people around her. So this is really powerful.
Yeah. Emma, sorry, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and there's a judgment as well that I find people in couples want you to be in a relationship, especially when you're of a certain age or you've got children or something. It's like an expectation that you are to be in a relationship, and that's not necessarily the case for you, for me, for whoever. It just might not be where you need to be right now. And I think I noticed it as well with my eldest son. He was he wanted someone for me, but he was sort of looking down on me like, oh, you can't even find somebody. But I was like, well, I have offers. I just chose not to take them. So I'm actually quite happy for the moment in this space. And we don't need to be in a relationship in order to have value for ourselves or in the world.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to close the roundtable section because of time. But that was beautiful, ladies. And Peggy, thank you for that. And Louis, also for your choose courage over comfort. Love that. So we're going to go and we're going to have a conversation with Emma Burton. I'm excited to speak with her. And can you unmute yourself and kind of reintroduce yourself and tell us what you experience with your clients and how you help them and all that good stuff.
So yeah, I've obviously been teaching yoga for a long time and loved the connection and the unity in the room and I really enjoyed that, but I felt like I wanted to take my work deeper, and people would often hang around at the end and they knew that there was more, and it was like I was a yoga teacher, I ran a studio and that was it. But I wanted to really contribute more, and I did lots of courses and I became an Akashic record practitioner, and I learned how to do kinesiology, muscle testing, and I used that for thoughts, so mindset, so clearing limiting beliefs. But then the Akashic records took me on another journey, and I decided that I was really wanting to help women on their baby journeys, because I never knew what I wanted in my life. But even from when I was tiny, I always knew I wanted to be a mum, and that was what was really going to make my heart sing. And I worked with people, and it seemed to be that the ones who wanted help with their pregnancies gravitated towards me. So I've decided that's my niche, that's who I work with, that's what I do. And I've managed to help some really amazing women who had given up all hope. One lady was actually 46 and she had had 8 years of miscarriages and struggle, and she was going to stop. She was wanting to adopt, and then we had one more session together, and there was just a moment where we went back to a time in her teenage years where she had actually ended up having an abortion, and she still carried this guilt and shame around her, and it was only her own judgment of herself, but she felt irresponsible. She had a business, she was a really amazing spiritual lady, but there was just sort of deep lurking around in her subconscious being was this belief. So we worked to clear that, and then she just knew that actually this might just work. She had that deep inner knowing that us women get to sometimes. So she went and she had an embryo implant in the end, and she's a mummy of a beautiful nearly 4-year-old girl, and she's never looked back. It's just amazing.
Yeah. So do you work with so I'm just I think that it's called somatic, all this somatic
Yeah.
healing, where it gets into your tissues and your is that the kind of work you do, or how do you?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. Yes. So there's different ways of doing it, and sometimes it ends up being going back to a childhood and working with the inner child. And sometimes I end up doing past life regressions for people, not to find out what they were or what went on, but just because there's some sort of resonance still within their body that is blocking. And I think when people are ready to become a mum, it's a really good time to heal and look back and see what's stopping them. Or, even we store stuff in our DNA from our grandparents, from wherever. So we kind of clear the slate. And I wish that there was a word for this time in people's lives, because there's not a word I can find in the woman's kind of life cycle. But it's a really good time to heal, to move on, and to expand in more ways than one.
Yeah, because people think, oh, the preparation before you get pregnant is super important. So can you tell me what that looks like for your client? Like how would you prepare? What's the preparation before you get pregnant? What would you recommend?
So taking general care of yourself. But what I find is that people, when they get stuck with fertility, they go on to this kind of like spinning out of, wait, they're just taking care of their body. They're, concentrating on being really, really conscientious about their diet and their exercise, and they're just almost trying too hard, that they actually forget that it's a miraculous thing. And actually they need to like tune up their frequency so that they're into the love energy. And they can get so fixated on making a baby, as I said before, that the joy out of the magical co-creation experience is gone. So it's almost like they want it so bad, they try so hard, they get a little off. So I try and help them with the mindset and just being more nurturing to themselves, their whole body, mind, body, energy, emotions, and just kind of like nurture the whole of themselves so they can really, really nourish their whole being.
Yeah, because it is a struggle when you're in it. Like women are in a lot of pain. There is, that there's that true desire that's unfulfilled. That's very painful. Can you speak into that?
Yeah, and so many people have grief, and it's kind of like a private grief that you have to try and shut down when you're in a social situation, and there's somebody sharing their baby news, and you can get triggered and all of this emotion, but you have to kind of, or you feel that you have to suppress it. So we really work to kind of feel that connection with the baby that may have come to your body and the soul that touched your soul. And there's always a connection. It's just on another realm now. So it's kind of helping them with the grief. And they also tend to feel like their body has failed them. They're a failure. And so they go down this sort of negative spiral as well. So trying to help them, have faith in themselves and know that we can work through things. And it's not always successful, but they always feel better about their journey through the work.
Yeah, I think that's key because, I would hope you would, you don't want women to stay stuck in that space. You really, so, how would you help them through that if they're unsuccessful?
So there's a 9-month program called the Soul Baby program, and we work through different modules. So for example, we help them with that connection with their sacred womb, because so many women have, for so many decades, you've been, having the monthly cycles, and it's always been a drag, or we've kind of dissed our bodies and ourselves, and or taken medication, the contraception pill and stuff. And then people expect so much from their bodies that they kind of lost touch in that magical part of themselves. And then we work through different, so that's one of the modules. And then another one is the relationship, where we're helping them to not only get their head around co-creating and bringing the magic and resetting that, but also the co-parenting thing, because like you were saying before, you know, you can love each other but being friends, and when you're actually about to enter into this forever parenting situation, that can bring up so many fears. And sometimes the relationship needs to come to an end, and sometimes we can work through it. So
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I think, you know, we're so excited about the news, but there's all this underlying things that happen, that people are going through. A lot of, I'm sure, fear, anxiety, self-worth, all those things are coming up. Around this blessed event, around this blessed, like, you know, it's such a, you know, oxymoron. It's like, how do you get that in alignment?
Yeah, and so many women are actually frightened of being pregnant and frightened of giving birth. I know I was absolutely petrified. It was like almost like a phobia. I wanted to be a mum more than anything, but I was petrified of the whole birthing process. And so there's work we can do around that, so that you can grow and welcome this baby, but actually not just feel like, you know, the end of, you know, you're going to meet the baby, but it's quite traumatic. So we can help them to feel better about that.
Yeah, because holding on to that stress for 9-10 months, it's like,
it's not good. It's not good.
So can you tell us, like, maybe let's see. So how can you give us some example how you work, how you get people to shift maybe into their sacred womb?
Yeah.
Let's just skip into something like that.
So it varies with different people, but usually I will be opening my Akashic records and opening my clients' Akashic records, and we will just, it's like downloading some healing. And it varies because everyone's body is completely different. But for example, I could take somebody back to their childhood where they just had some traumatic event or something that was just getting lodged. And it's like, you know, just when Nora was feeling into that pain within our bodies, we can come back into the womb and there's something that needs addressing. And I always set the intention for the session that this is, you know, this session we were doing on the womb is to clear any blocks to carrying a baby and letting a baby get really comfortable in this space. So it differs every time what happens there.
Mm-hmm. And can you speak about the Akashic records? Can you tell us what that is? Because you're saying it and everyone's going like, what's that? I can already see it.
Yeah, well spotted. I should have probably done that before. So the Akashic records, I didn't even know what they were before I was kind of led to them. So the Akashic records is like I like to think of it like a huge library in another sort of space zone where every thought, word, and deed is stored so that we can access it if we learn how to. And so rather than just getting the downloads of everything, we can actually set up the session. So we get information from source. So Metatron is in charge of the Akashic records, and we can ask to open the records of a client or a business and ask for guidance. So it's like channeling, it's like downloading the information. But what tends to happen is healing comes through and I'm just kind of leading them through it. So rather than just kind of talking at a level, it's a really deep healing space. It's amazing. I haven't explained it brilliantly, I don't think, there.
So basically, you're asking, you're not like writing down my records. You're asking like a higher power to help download the records that are in your own mind, body, and womb or whatnot.
So it's almost like software that's out there in the Akashic realm that we can tap into and download when we need to, when we want to.
Yeah, so tell me about the Akashic realm. Tell me about what that is. A little, like as simply as possible. Like, is it what is that? I look at source, so I have Mother God and I have source, and I can put energy of universe and Mother God. Like, I understand that energy.
Yes. So it's like a memory bank. and it's like karma or past life stuff. For example, I seem to do past life work with people, and I had no intention of doing that. But when I ask in the records what needs healing, I seem to be guiding people back into a past life. So it's that energy from the past. And that goes into the conversation of time. Like, is time really as we know it, or is it all just going on? And I'm not able to explain that. All I know is that I can open up, and I actually use crystalline energy to help get into the records and help with the healing. So it's imagining the energy coming from the divine, and I call it like my divine team, and you can call it what you will.
Yeah.
But there's a very definite experience when my Akashic records are open and when they're closed, and the same with clients. But it's kind of one of those things that you have to experience to understand.
So you got training on that?
I don't actually train people and do that. I just work and heal with it.
No, but you yourself got training.
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah.
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 So, like, just because I haven't heard it before, have you guys heard of this before? Yeah, Nora has. Yes. All right. So it says my daughter had thyroid cancer, has polycystic ovarian syndrome, and has remained childless. But she wants to be a mom. So what can she do for herself? Like, I mean, that's a kind of, what would you can you give her some suggestions if these are not like,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
I don't know her medical. I mean, you've told me
Yeah.
a little bit about what's going on with her physical body. And so I don't know whether there's any possibility at all. It sounds like there is. And I always invite people to go down the medical route and get diagnosed with what the doctors say, and then we can know what we can work with, because I don't want to give people any false hopes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would love to jump on a call and see if we can get a feeling, and maybe there's a click and we could help. But the program I work with, I made the program in the records. So I was working with people, and it was kind of, I was learning as I was going, but then as I've been doing it for quite a few years now, there's a recurring themes that we all need to, the relationship, the physical body, the womb, the becoming a mum, and actually our own inner knowledge of our own self becoming a mum. So some of us just don't think we can do it. We don't think we can be a parent, and actually we all just learn how as we are, as we become a mum. But it's helping with that. So there's so many fears and things that we can work through, and it's a 9-month program because it's quite intense. There's a lot that needs doing. But yeah, I think I shared my link for a free call, and we can chat and see if I can help.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, because so I'm still like a little bit in those records. It's okay.
It's not something we can think about because words can't explain things, can they? It's
no.
There's crystalline energy, and there's crystalline energy. You either think there is or there isn't, and there is or there isn't. But when you open up to it, and there's no words to describe the records in a perfect way. It's a space.
Yeah. Nora wants to chime in.
Yeah. I just want to share how I look at Akashic records, because I also work with them, and for me it's like a fifth element, because there is fire, water, earth, and air. And Akasha or Akashic records is the fifth one. So it's, as you said, it's a library, and everything is stored in there, and you can tap into it and download and heal. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Christelle's getting in here too.
Yes, I'm just gonna use, because I'm not a specialist in that, but I use that, not with clients personally. So I think I'm gonna use terms that are more understandable for non-professionals. For me, it's like a memory of whatever happened in the past, in your family, in your lineage, if you had past lives, everything is thought. If something things happen, like right now in your subconscious mind, you have stories that are there that sometimes you are not aware of, and then that are just influencing your life. So the Akashic records for me is like that library in the spiritual realm where all those stories or traumas or past life experience from your family, from your ancestors, from yourself, from your past lives is stored. And those things that you don't know when you are just walking around wondering why things are not going the way you want, you can access the information and know, oh, this is the root cause, this is the reason why. Maybe in a past life, maybe from your grandmother, maybe from your father, this happened, and this was the story that was created, and it's there. That's what is affecting your life. I don't know, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. And you can actually heal the things that hurt you in the past by bringing it into the present and using the records.
Okay. Well, I learn something new every day. So, Emma, you're still here. We still have you here, Emma. Don't unmute yourself. So, so how are women? How do you? So, are women actually? Are you seeing women? It's interesting because, as I say, we just think we're going to get pregnant, then we're going to, have the kid, and then we're going to live a happy, it's going to be some struggle, but we're going to da da da. So, and I think the preparation beforehand is super important, and during that you spoke about. So, can we talk about after they have the baby? Do you work with women after that, or?
Not specifically, no. I just do the helping them get their head around and helping them get their body through pregnancy. But obviously, I have been a yoga teacher for many years and have done pregnancy yoga, and after worked with women through that. And I'm a mom.
So. Yeah, because I would think also, like, if people struggled for something so much, and then they get it, and then they have the baby, and then it's not as what they think it might be, how that could be very traumatic.
Well, I think that's really when people work with me and they're doing, so there's not just preparation of your body, but it's learning like the little simple spiritual tips so that you maybe develop a short meditation practice and some yoga practice, just nurturing yourself. And if you learn that before you're pregnant, whilst you're pregnant, then you've got this ready to go, because babies are very time consuming and resting is one of the most important things you can do. But if you already have some really useful tips, then you can stay safe, you can care for yourself, and it's really useful to learn that along the way.
Yeah, so your preparation is going to help you with your once the baby's born too, because you're going to have lots of tools and really went into forgiveness and love and like how to nurture yourself.
Yeah, and just some daily practical self-care steps, because if we don't take care of ourselves, no one else is necessarily going to do it. No one else can do as good a job as we can to look after ourselves. And so I think getting some short, easy practices embedded in yourself on the way into pregnancy will just make the other side so much easier.
And I know that you have, a free gift for our audience. Do you want to speak into that? I'm going to put it in the chat box.
Is that my book?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I know I sent 2 over. So yes, I have written a book called Don't Get Stuck on Your Asana. And I have a link to a free book. You just pay the shipping so that you can understand my kind of take on yoga. And it's quite different to some people, because I was really getting upset with the way that yoga was becoming about being really bendy and acrobatics and pushing and forcing and breaking. And I actually had a really bad injury with it. And I think that we need to remember it's not just about the physical postures and trying to make them picture perfect, but actually some simple changes to the way that you practice, but also There's some breathing exercises in there. There's the alignment pictures so that you can know where's a safe space to be in some postures. And yeah, there's a free gift. So it's more like a relook at yoga in a simple way. So
I
it's
love
useful
that.
for everyone.
Yeah, I love that because as a dancer, I always get injured in yoga. So I'm like, I can't do it. It's I always get injured, and all my dancer friends, many of us get injured in yoga. So
Well, yeah, probably because you're very, very flexible naturally, or have
Yeah.
been very flexible. And so when you're stiff, your body is actually protecting itself. But when you've already been very flexible, you can go too deep into the postures, and yes, you can cause injury. So the therapeutic take on yoga is much better. And just that 80% effort, so you find where it feels effort. I'm not finding my words today very well. And then you pull back. So you've got that kind of enjoyment, and that less is more in every posture.
Yeah, and as a dancer, we don't think that way. We push. We just like the more pain we love, We're like, yes.
And it's amazing. I mean, dancers are always the most fit and incredible beings. I'm always in awe of them. But
in yoga, I have a clicking knee because of yoga. Thank you very much, yoga. All right, so we've come to the end of our segment. I know that Nora, you have I'm gonna put your link again in Christelle, so you can again, in case people missed it earlier, that you could speak into your offering.
Yes, I'm offering a free 30-minute session that I call Clarity and Energy Shift. Because if you're in that place of, wondering what's your next step in your business, what's your next step in your life, what's the next step, what can you do to make your relationship better, I'm offering this session to help you go through all these limiting beliefs that are stopping you from seeing clearly and know exactly what to do or where to go from where you are right now. This is the link to use so that we can get on a call, and I will give you also techniques that will help you each time you will find yourself in that place of, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go from here. You will have something that you can use to help you shift your energy around it.
Yeah, so get out of uncertainty for sure. All right, and then Nora, I know you have emotion detox. I'm loving that. Can you speak into that?
Well, emotion detox, that's therapy, and that's a transformational journey, which is individual or in my programs. And this is a kind of journey that can heal the heart and can bring much more love into your life and create more abundance and vitality. So it's a profound healing. These are profound healing sessions, and I work with women on their individual situations, and we tap into their energy and all past traumas and experiences, and also heal what's not working and what went wrong. So,
okay, thank you for that, Nora. And then I know, Emma, you have the Yoga at Home membership, which many people are back at home in Europe.
Yeah, and we're still in lockdown here. Yeah. So yeah, I have a Yoga at Home membership, so you can sign up for that. I think you're putting the link in, and there's $1 a day membership price, and you can cancel at any time. So you can sign up for a month, and then if you want to continue, and then if you want to, and it's all my therapeutic yoga, so it's safe for everybody to do.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, again, this was a beautiful time that we had together. I loved everything about it, the round table, all of your guys' information and your insights. And as always, we at The Unstoppable, because of you experts, and this is such a loving, fun experience. And I hope that I'm sure our audience out there is feeling our vibe and feeling the connection, because you ladies brought it today. I really appreciate all of you. So quickly say goodbye, because this is the end of this segment.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to all the viewers for being with us today. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
I also thank you very much for your energy and for everything. And I hope you will have amazing experiences and some takeaways we've shared
Yes.
today.
Thank you for your mantra today, your exercise, Nora.
Mm.
All right,
You're
ladies. All right, ladies, well, go have a beautiful rest of your day. And some of you are going into your evening. So, again, thank you for being a part of the Unstoppable You Live.
Thank you so much for
Thank
hosting
you.
this.
All right.
Thank-
Bye-bye, you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'm going to, I think you can, yeah. All right, so let me move, there we go. Woo! So the first 2 hours were awesome. I loved all your comments. I love your mantra. I'm going to read, I know someone put in a mantra. Pamela, mine is never be afraid to believe in yourself, right? And again, such a beautiful segment and so many great takeaways. I still, I still want to hear your mantras if you have them. I think, what we say to ourselves throughout the day is so important. How we support ourselves, how we love ourselves, how we decide to move forward in small, easy increments, I think I don't know if you heard that, but is the key. I believe it's the key to building confidence and building self-love and building opportunities for you to show up for yourself and claim your life. Because I'm a big proponent of that. If you know my work, you know I claim my space. I love to claim my space. I want you to claim your space without any apologies and to really feel grounded in your life, because this is about you. This is about you and your relationship with yourself and then with others. And as a coach, I'm always here to support you. You are always my first thought on how, in any type of coaching I do with you, especially in relationships, it really stems from you and your love and how you feel about yourself and what you want to create in this world. And often we're faced with choices. Do you want to create, love and peace and gratitude, having that? Do you want to create that for your life? Or do you want to create negativity and struggle, right? And I know we all want to create love and peace and harmony. I know that, in our heart of hearts, we want to understand why we're not sure. We want to understand why we're struggling with our relationships, maybe our business. And with that, so if you want to, I'm going to put my link in for you guys to jump on a call with me so we could really connect and discuss and talk about. You get to talk about, this is the one thing about working with coaches, you get to say exactly what you feel and what you're going through. And that as we as coaches get to support you into really finding new opportunities and ways of being. So I hope that you enjoyed the first 2 hours. And I'm always, this is my vision, as I spoke about in the beginning. This has been my vision. My vision is to bring an eclectic group of women who can really speak into what you might be going through in many areas of your life so that we can support you and we can really find ways to move you forward, to find new opportunities. And this is my vision, but it's also like I'm blessed to be here. I'm happy. I'm like, this is very exciting for me. I'm very blessed that I created this opportunity and that you guys are here to support it. And our speakers are here. I mean, it's always the speakers who are just make this live a beautiful experience. And with that, I'm going to start bringing in the next group of speakers one by one. So Amy's here and Macy's here, and we are still waiting. Today is about waiting for the third speaker. But this is what makes the live fun, and you never know what to expect, but to always expect the unexpected. That is like that's where it's like I am definitely a retired perfectionist, because doing live events will really get you out of that. And I do want to say out there to you guys, this is one of the reasons why I created a monthly event, is for me to really show up for myself every month, to create something, to create a vision. This is how vision works. To create a vision where I have to show up every month, where I cannot hide and hesitate anymore in my life. And this is the beauty of like really setting up something that you are committed to on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and you follow through on. That is really how you bridge the gap to your vision, is to really, set something high and start, making that commitment to yourself and show up for yourself. And when you do that, look who's in front of me. I got these experts. I got you out there in the audience, right? All because I chose to show up for myself. And when you choose, and I'm using that word choose, and you're willing, things happen. And this, as I say, this is my number 9. This is my 9th live with you guys, and it's just been a beautiful experience. And I really appreciate, for you guys, you haven't started yet, but I appreciate you being here and on time with that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to quickly introduce you guys, and while we wait for a third speaker. So we have Macy. Macy will be speaking first, and she is a love and relationship expert. You were corporate, you're climbing that corporate ladder, which many of my audience does or is doing, and really living, wanting this Prince Charming to come in. And I'm sure you were, doing the corporate thing before you got into your entrepreneurship as a coach and a speaker. And then do you have a super loved system, which we can kind of talk into when you get into your interview. And then there's Amy Sanders. She is a wellness and mindset coach. She's a master certified wellness and life coach. And she's helped women through weight loss, mindset, and their relationships. And she uncovers your purpose and helps release those deep-rooted beliefs that hold you back in your life. We often speak about these things. Maybe we can dive more deep in the round table also, is, our own beliefs about limiting beliefs or things that keep us stuck. Could be an interesting conversation. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and jump in and start the interview with Macy.
Sure, can you hear me?
Yeah, who says I
Okay,
get
good.
super love, so getsuperlove.com, that sort of thing. So if we could, Amy, if you can mute yourself, do you know how to? Yeah, and then that way.
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, just to practice. Yeah, because I can't do it for you, I don't think. So at the bottom.
Oh, right.
Yes, beautiful. Yay. This is also a tutorial, a StreamYard tutorial. So welcome, Macy.
I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, and let's talk into what you, who you work with, what you do, and what you're seeing out in the world right now.
Ooh. I am a love and relationship expert. I work with typically women over 40 who are single and they want to have a relationship, and maybe they've had some bad experiences in the past, or just have been busy, like working on their life and their career, and now are recognizing that love is really something that they want to have. And I help them get past those barriers. You were talking about limiting beliefs. There are those barriers that come from even our childhood, sometimes around relationship, that really keep us from actually being able to receive our love story. So that's what I've been doing. And I do have a super love system that is basically what came out of my own personal journey when I woke up in the middle of my 40s, still single, and thinking, wait a minute, I always wanted to have a love relationship. Where is it? And then that's what was created as a result of my mission to figure out how to find real, authentic, conscious love.
Yeah. So here you are doing the corporate thing, going up that ladder. Did you even have that mindset at that time of like shifting? And if the conscious love and that whole, like, what was your mindset in that time, and how did you shift? Like,
Well,
what did it feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when you were talking before we Amy and I came in, I was listening to you talking a lot about choice. Or was that when we were here? I don't know. I was listening to you, and using the word choice was kind of a huge thing, because it really was, I would say, one of the most powerful shifts was really making that choice for myself, and to really honor my heart and what it is that, my desires were sharing with me. And although I will say, as early as 16, I was going to lectures and personal development classes, and yet still in the relationship space, I had a lot of these old ideas that really come from probably fairy tales and watching TV and Brady Bunch and wherever we pick up our actual relationship training, which is not recommended because, it's really, in the end, we're just kind of winging it. So what I know now is that we really can learn this, and it's the most profound thing, because everything is relationships. So
Yeah.
that
So
was,
what,
oh, sorry.
So what was the light bulb moment that, like, okay, I'm taking all these classes. Like, I think many of us, like, we read about it, we take the classes, we read the books, and then implementation, especially in relationships, is so different.
Yeah, I
And this
definitely
is, yeah.
had a light bulb moment. And I would say, if you had asked me before the light bulb moment if I was like conscious about relationships, I would have absolutely said yes. If you had asked me if I was confident, I would have said yes. I, created amazing things in my life. And it was, at one point, I was dating, and I was really excited because I was thinking, okay, you know what? I think I actually found someone. And there was this guy in I was teaching improv classes, and he was in my class, and he was so funny and like just melty handsome. And he liked me. And I just thought, okay, this is it, And I remember right after that, my parents were coming to visit, and I was in my 40s, and they were coming to see this new house I bought. That was on my fourth or fifth house at that point. And I was just thinking, this is so great. My mom's going to leave me alone now. Like, she's not going to like bug me about this. And so we had a little rendezvous. They got to meet him, and we had coffee, and then he went back to his fancy real estate job. And my parents, who look at me. I mean, they've actually nurtured my creativity all my life, sat me down and said, you know what, Macy, if you want to keep a man like that, you're going to have to stop being so weird. And I was like completely devastated. Like it was a bomb drop moment where I was shattered. I was like, oh my God, my parents don't even think I'm worthy of love. Like, I'm too weird for love. What is this? And, they are the ones who supported me in doing all of, I mean, I have an art major, a theater major. I have masters in puppetry. I'm a very creative, soulful person as a result of their upbringing, really believing I can have it all. And so 2 weeks later, he dumped me. And so I was like, oh yeah, she's right. And what I realized, so this was the light bulb moment. The light bulb moment was I was not bringing myself to the relationship. He didn't see any of the things that my family knows of me. I was being this like the good woman for that kind of man, which is not sustainable. It will never be sustainable. And that's what I had been doing for so long. And that was the moment I recognized that I wasn't showing up in my own relationships around love. So that's, that change. That's when I was like, wow, okay. So essentially I wasn't being weird enough, like we want to get technical.
Yeah.
So then it was soon after that I was really doing that inner work and really getting honest with myself and going, oh, wow, this is who I am. This is what I love. I've made that so wrong. All this time, I thought it was wrong. And when I teach this to my single clients, I kind of call this the weirdo advantage, because it's like really getting into those aspects of us that we've hidden, we've made wrong, we think aren't good enough. And when we can just kind of be in it all, then that's when we become the sexiest person on the planet.
I agree with you. Totally. And it looked
And then I met my husband 3 months later. So
great. Yes, of course you did, because you showed up as yourself. So, but it's interesting because this is why, people who get married after the fact say, you're not the person I'm married.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
because we're shape changing. I call it shape changing. We're changing our shape based on the man that's in front of us, or woman.
Right.
Right. We're shifting to them and changing our shape so we align with them instead of holding our true selves.
Which I had done for multiple relationships and didn't even know. And it was just exhausting. And it wasn't until, I really kind of blossomed into this space and just had the awareness. But, there was a lot of inner work that happened there, but that I could be seen. And a whole new caliber of person started showing up after that. People who I actually was excited about.
So what are some of the symptoms that you are actually you're not showing up as yourself, and what are some of the symptoms that women feel, or men, when they're shape changing into these relationships, or not showing up as themselves?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I would say, there's probably a lot of insecurity and fear that comes along with that, because it's like, okay, like this sense of I got to get it right. I can't do it wrong. I don't want to be rejected, like that thing. When you kind of learn how to align with yourself and settle in, there is a safety and security in you, and that no one can reject you. You're the only one who can reject you. So when you have that kind of foundation, that's a start. So anything else, is going to indicate that something's not off. Or if you're pointing fingers, if you're like, oh, they're always doing this to me, and there's like this blame energy, that can be a sign. Mm-hmm. There can be, I hear a lot of people who say things like, when I ask people about their vision, is always revealing. It's like, okay, well, what is your relationship, like your ideal relationship? And it's like, oh, well, they should at least accept that I go to church 3 times a week. And I'm like, at least? Ow. What if that's like the greatest thing you do together, and how can you just be in the full vision? And then you get to make choices from there, right? It's choice.
Yeah. So we were talking about this earlier, like this lack mentality. Do you see that a lot in do you mainly work with women, right?
Yeah, mainly.
Yeah, mainly. So do you see that, and if you do work with men, do men have that? It doesn't seem like they would, but maybe they do have
I think they do, actually. I think there's the men, what women think men think is so different. I mean, talking to women about this stuff, the lack mentality, absolutely. I mean, over time, and this is what I noticed for myself, as I got older, it just got harder because I collected more reasons why I wasn't good enough, or that no one would like me, and that it didn't work out. And then you're starting to kind of lead from the defense against getting it wrong, rather than an open heart of like receiving something great. So with men, though, same thing, though, because they have so much pressure to get it right and to know what to do. And that's not true. This is a co-creation.
Yeah. So how can we shift? I mean, it is a co-creation, and it's I don't know. So I'm a dater, so I don't. I'm a dater in Los Angeles. So, but I do meet a lot. I do meet a lot of nice men. I just to put it out there for you guys. There is a lot of nice men in Los Angeles. But it's interesting because now I'm in a different space. So now I'm the assessor at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very interesting that you, instead of just going with, I'm holding back, going like, is this really, are we aligned here? Is this really feel good to me? Do I feel good? So what are some questions, like, can you speak onto that, and like how, okay.
You mean when you're meeting people, right?
Yeah, when you're meeting people.
Yeah, I mean, I think those questions you just said are really great. One of the ones I would say is, am I having fun? Is this fun? And if you're kind of stuck in a fear cycle, dating's probably never going to be fun. So it's really important to get to the place where you're already having a lot of fun in your life, and you have the community, and you have you're nourished. And then when you're going out, it's just meeting people. I think the number one thing is to take away all the seriousness, all of the intensity around, is this going to work? Like, get rid of that and just be like, who is this person? I wonder what this person's about. How is this fun for me? And, is this person, like, am I leaning in? Am I interested? And really keep it really simple. I mean, when you're just meeting people, and so kind of interestingly with the times, we've spent a whole year doing sort of virtual dating. A lot of people have, where they're meeting people online and then maybe doing a Zoom date and maybe going and taking a socially distanced walk or something like that. So there's been this slowness. Now people are going to be coming out, maybe not in LA yet, but anyway, you are. Okay. So, but things are changing, like, as we speak right now, a little bit more, where people are going to be more excited about getting out there. So it's the reason why I'm saying that is because if we're putting so much significance and seriousness on these initial interactions, it's really exhausting. So how much lightness can you bring? How much ease can you ask for? How much, just playfulness? I say play into love. That is everything. Like, if you can just have fun, and if you meet someone and you're like, that we don't align, our values don't align, that's not a problem. Usually you can vet this out earlier, though. If you're doing online dating, you can vet out some of the values things, but there may just be a sense that it's not for you, and that's okay. Just play into love as much as possible, because the lightness is what actually allows for the connection.
Yes, and if you go in that, if you go into that space and you are talking to someone, or you do meet someone who's, like that guy that met your parents, more restrictive and whatnot, and that's you're gonna feel it in your body, because when you're in play and then people try to shush you, you're like, ah. It is a natural reaction. So the other thing I wanted to speak into with this is that, so do you, because people ask, I have questions pre-submitted, and people always ask about finding the one. So what's your take on finding the one?
I mean, if we're talking about the one, I would say that I don't believe that there's just like one person. And I would say there's some steps. I mean, there's some steps in getting clear. There's some steps in like really, being able to dissolve any of those things that are pushing love away unconsciously. That's a big part of my process, is doing some of that inner work before. I mean, this isn't just as a relationship and sort of dating expert. I'm not inviting people in and just throwing them into the wolves. We're like doing some work to really get to a place where there's clarity and confidence and kind of a plan that's going to be supportive for their life. So, there's a bunch of steps. I mean, I would say, even just deciding that you want a love relationship is a step, and getting clear on all those things, the mindset, which I'm sure Amy will talk about some of that, like the mindset and the strategy, like even the technical parts. I mean, for women over 40, all of us, when in our teens or even in college, we didn't even have computers in our rooms or anything like that. So it's just a different dynamic in the modern dating world. So learning how to do it, like there's stuff to learn. So I think the biggest misunderstanding is that we're supposed to just know this, and then it's just going to happen if it's going to happen. And, perhaps people have had those experiences or heard a story, but truly, when you want to create something amazing in your life, you learn how to do it, and you choose it, and you take the steps to get there.
Yeah, and I think finding the one, like, I'm just, finding the one for you at that time of your life might be because my big love was the one at that time of my life.
Yeah.
Who I am today, I probably wouldn't have dated him. I could say that with honesty.
Right.
Because he helped me get to a place where I am today.
I agree with that.
As being the one at that moment.
Right.
He is my great love. And yet, as a woman today, who I am today, would I date him? Probably not.
Yeah. So I think that's a really good thing to say too, because if anyone is out there thinking, oh, all these relationships, I did it wrong, or I shouldn't have done that. No, letting go of all of that, because every one is a contribution. Every date is progress. And, when you're more conscious about it and you have a plan and you have the clarity and you've done the inner work, it's going to be way easier and way faster, really. But there's no, like, I do believe that, I even believe for myself, and I have a husband, that I could potentially find myself as a little old lady dating some man in the senior center. I totally see me doing that. So I don't get wrong at all. And I think it's exciting, and how much fun can we have?
Yes, because again, it's like this we're on this world earth for relationships. Don't you agree? Like we grow through our relationships. I
Yeah.
mean, we think it's all us. It's really not. It's about how we're showing up in our relationships, who we're being, how we're able to recover, come back. And I think many of us are in this cement block about relationships when they're really viable, right? Can you speak into that a little bit? Are you agreeing with me?
Yeah. Well, I
I'm
think
like,
that's, I don't know if I totally follow, but like,
yeah,
I think that, um, I mean, it's everything. Everything is a relationship. So I really think of it as the experience. That's why I don't give any dating rules
right.
specifically. My goal is to help people have their own, connection to themselves so that they can navigate these things and be present and aware, and even in making choices that show that you didn't want that, that's fine. Like you just make a new choice. So um but being able to have that presence and that kindness and that relationship with yourself where you are in flow, and and allowing for this space beyond our mind and what what the society tells us relationships have to be, or what our grandparents had, or what Carol and Mike Brady had, like all this like, and get out beyond that so that you can have even greater. I mean, the relationship that I have right now is way beyond anything that I thought was possible.
Yes. I think I wanted to say that relationships and dating and love, whatever, it's in flux. It's a constant influx thing that ebbs and flows. And somehow we want it to be like this.
Right. Like, just, it's funny because I was just talking to a client this morning, and she's in this phase with her guy that now they're kind of going, oh yeah, you're irritating, so, and it's really like that's part of the ebb and flow. I mean, there was times when I was so irritated with my husband that I was like, could I go to jail for this? Like, I really had to learn that next level, like foundational things around communication and connection, and being able to express myself and being able to really listen and understand my partner. That was that next level. So in Super Loved, I talk about the sort of the relationship readiness, but then the dating part. Mm-hmm. And then there's, wow, I really like this person. I'd love for this to grow, like, and actually having the skills to do that. Because honestly, I had to learn that sort of after the fact. Even already as a coach, I had to learn a lot more about relationship. And it's constant, it's a constant journey.
Yeah, because as you said earlier, no one taught us. I mean, we watched. I think we're all in the same kind of age range where it's like, father knows best, Brady Bunch, like all this stuff. It was like
those were our teachers.
yeah, those are our go-tos. And you said earlier that you don't, when you're dating, you don't believe in the list, right? Is that what you said? Like
I said, dating rules.
Dating rules. So what does that mean?
I mean that, there are a lot of, there are the rules, and I'd like to invite people to be able to be present with the situation. I mean, you plus any other person, there's going to be a unique field there. And so if you're coming in with the idea that this is wrong, this is right, this is how you do it, this is how you don't do it, this is what he has to do, this is what I have to do, and we're trying to like compute and like make something happen from the external rules, then you're not in the relationship. So, for some people who maybe aren't wanting to do deeper work, they might need some rules. I don't know. But I would say when we're talking about like a conscious, aware relationship, which is what I think so many people now in these times, the Aquarian age, it's people are wanting something that our grandparents never even thought of. So it's just a different time. So I say, you know what to do. You'll know, and just start choosing and creating and stop beating yourself up.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of rules out there for dating. I think a lot of people have, you're not supposed to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I'm always like, I'm actually just going to show up and see who's in front of me.
Exactly. I mean, and I say, like, what are your instincts? Like, you don't need rules to make a friend.
Right.
So just what would you love to do? Like, one of the things that I noticed I was getting kind of hung up on when I was dating, and this last round of dating, was I'm a gifter, and I love making things, and I love when I meet someone new and I know something about them. If I see something that reminds me of them, my tendency is like, oh yay, gifting, I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm crafty, like I that's where I get excited. So I felt myself holding back with Larry, my husband now. I was like, no, I can't do that. That'll make me look like I like him too much. And then I'm like, I do like him. And this is me. This is how I do me. And so I gave him some fun gifts, and he gifted me back, and it wasn't a thing. It could have easily been that I gifted him and then he broke up with me, and then I'd be like, see, I shouldn't have done that, and I could make up a story about why that was wrong and blah blah blah. But you can't do the wrong thing with the right person.
That's right. I think that's so important. It's so important because now, you get into this relationship and all of a sudden you're afraid to ask for anything, or, simple things. You're afraid to ask. You're afraid to show up and be yourself. So, with that, I know you have a free gift for our audience. 5-day love vibe activator.
Oh yes. Okay. I was like, oh gosh, I have so many gifts right now that I can give out. But that one is really present because next week I'm doing this 5-day basically dating boot camp for women. So
Great.
It's called the Love Vibe Activator, but it's really going to give the mindset, some teachings on how to navigate the modern dating world, how to flirt, how to communicate, really the whole gamut. So 5 days in a row of master classes to get people out there, because it's springtime. This is a time when, and we've been locked up for a year. So let's have some fun meeting people. And that is actually what the data is showing. The data is showing that people just woke up and recognized that, wow, love really matters. Mm-hmm. Having a person to share life with really matters. It's not just this frivolous thing. When you don't have the distractions of happy hours and networking events and all the things that you may have been doing, like that's actually the focus of 2021 is interpersonal relationships.
I love that. I love love. So the more love we have, the more it vibrates out.
Yeah. So if people want to come to the 5-day, I should say this, if people want to come to the 5-day, super simple, just go to lovevibe.club and I
have your link here. I put your link in.
Oh, good. Okay.
The chat. So the link you gave me is in there. All right, Macy. So happy to have that interview. I'm excited to drop some questions in the roundtable section. But right now we have Amy. So if you can mute yourself,
I will
Macy.
mute.
Beautiful. And Amy, you're on. So introduce yourself and tell us what you do and how you help women and what you're seeing right now.
Okay, there's a lot, guys. So hopefully, I guess we've got time, right? So yes, my name's Amy Sanders. I have been in the fitness and wellness industry for over 20 years. So it's a very long time. But as I've been in this industry, it's really evolved and my life has changed a lot. And so with that, life coaching has just totally blossomed. So what I have been seeing is, I would have clients they're always women, and they're women who want to lose weight or they don't feel comfortable in their own skin, and so we start working together. And then what happens is it's all of this deep rooted stuff that's really affecting their weight, affecting their life, affecting their relationships. It's like the same every single time. So it started as like weight loss, which I still do, and I still love working with women in that realm, but it's become a lot deeper, and it's been exciting. So I ended up, after I was down this road, I was like, well, I'm life coaching all these women. I guess I'm just going to get certified. And then it just became this spiral where I'm like, and then I want to do this and that and whatever. Okay. And what basically, I came down to 3 pillars of wellness, which we'll talk a little bit about, but we're going to focus mostly on emotions and mindset, because you can apply it to any area. So whether it's going to be your weight loss or whether it's going to be your relationships, right? We're women, right? So we're like crazy all the time. We have all these things going on in our heads. And since we're talking about relationships, let's just also talk about males. They're like a box, and they just hang out in their box. They have like one button, and then us, we have like lots of buttons and wires and everything else, right? So if we can focus on what's really going on in our minds, then we're able to simplify and not feel so like crazy. I'm saying crazy. I don't think all women are crazy, but you know how we have lots of thoughts. We multitask. We have a lot going on. We juggle a lot. So I started doing a lot of mindset work with these women, and it's been incredible. So that's just this road that's led me down this path. And in my own life, I went through a pretty terrible divorce. I became a single mom. I had to rebuild my life. And now I'm living pretty much a dream life to a lot of people. My husband and I we've become multimillionaires. I just say it because a lot of people don't get from here to here, but it really was my own work and it was my own mindset, which led down this road. So that's a little bit about me. I love what I do with coaching women. So let's get into it a little bit with mindset. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to take you through like a 5-step process. You might be familiar with it, you might not, but everything starts with a circumstance. So even when you were talking about relationships and things, it really is a circumstance with how things start, right? And circumstances are just facts. So say like a circumstance is I'm 5'8". That's not going to change. No. Unless I start shrinking, I'm not growing anymore. A circumstance is we are on this call right now. It's a circumstance. Circumstance might be that we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. So circumstance might be that your husband is coming home from work late. That's a circumstance, right? It's just what it is. So how we respond to that circumstance is the direction things will start going. So the next thing is a thought. And this is where just a lot of my coaching now is. Right. So how we think about the circumstance changes everything. So going back to the husband being late, we can think he doesn't care about me enough to be on time.
Which many
right?
women say that.
And that might be, and let's just even use partner. So yeah. They don't care enough about me to be on time. I told him to be home at 5 and it's not. Mm-hmm. So that's a thought. Now, is that really, truly legit? Is that really happening? Does he really not care about you? You don't know that for sure. But in our minds, we start doing this, right? We start going through all this stuff like, oh my gosh, I am so frustrated at this person because of whatever. So anyway, it starts with a circumstance, and it's our thoughts around that circumstance where everything changes. So if we can meet our circumstance with like open thoughts or more positive thoughts, then everything starts to work in our, like, work for us instead of against us. But let's follow this through. So now we are frustrated. These are your emotions, your feelings, right? We're frustrated that he's coming home from work late. We're so frustrated. Oh my gosh. So that's now our feeling about our thought about the circumstance. But we haven't even yet stopped to like see really where's he at? Does he really still care about me? Yeah, probably. But I'm going through this negative process instead of a positive one, right? So the emotions are attached to how we think about it, our thoughts. So let's keep following this through. The next thing is our actions, how we're going to respond to that circumstance, those thoughts, those feelings. So how would you respond if you're frustrated and your partner comes home from work late? You have two options there, right? You could take one road or you can take the other road. So one road, let's take the frustrated road. You don't even care about me. I can't believe you're late again. Da, 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 da. You could say whatever you're going to say. So that's your action. The result is you have come, like, you've disconnected in that relationship. You've taken a negative road in that relationship, and it's not really serving you. It's not serving him. It's not serving your relationship. You're not happy. He's not happy, right? So if we were to just change it a little bit, I'm just using a really simple scenario, but if we were just to change it just a little bit and say, okay, circumstances, he's coming home from work late. He did let you know, so that's good. But you can choose at that moment whether you are frustrated and your thoughts around that. So say even like you get that frustrated thought, but then you could step back and say, you know what? I don't know why he's coming home from work late. He probably has had a really hard day. If you start to meet them there and say, okay, what is really going on here? Then you're able to take a totally different road, right? So at that point, your feeling around the situation might be, man, he totally provides so well for our family. And I know that this is hard for him sometimes. I'm sure he wants to be with me, and that's probably frustrating to him too. I'm just, so then now your actions is, you maybe when he walks through the door, you meet him with a hug and you say, how was your day? And from there, it gives you an opportunity to connect and to build on that relationship and really see where he's coming from, instead of like this crazy brain where like, oh my gosh, taking this crazy negative route, So anyway, that's the coaching model. It's really simple. You've probably heard of it before, but you can literally apply it to all these different areas of your life. Why are your actions not meeting what you really want in life?
Yeah.
And if you can figure that out, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I do this too with my clients. I do the REBT also, like that thing. But, and I'm like, to one client I was having, I was like, what's wrong with giving him the benefit of the doubt? She goes, I don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. So what is that about, like, giving people the benefit of the doubt? Because that creates, like, some space in relationships when you're like, so can you speak on that? Because she did not want to give him the benefit of the doubt whatsoever.
So, right, okay, so how's she doing it? What I would do is I would ask her straight up. I'm like, okay, so you don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Why is that?
Yeah.
Do you want to have a good relationship with him, or do you want to be difficult?
Well, I think also for women, it's sometimes easier to go to anger than vulnerability, and really,
absolutely,
I think that's a big thing for women is vulnerability in our communication and the way that we are perceived.
I completely agree with you. Another thing that a lot of women do, I am so guilty of this as well, is really wanting, my friend, I'm going to give a story of just a quick story of my friend. she was so frustrated at her husband because he never brought her flowers. My husband would bring me flowers, and her husband never would bring her flowers home from wherever, I don't know. And I'm like, well, have you ever told him that you want flowers? Literally has never crossed his brain. Like, they're simple. They're very simple. So if you don't tell people what you want and be open and be vulnerable, then frustration is just unmet expectations, right? If we're frustrated, then our expectations are not being met. And we need to step back and say, okay, what expectations do I have for this situation in this scenario? What is it that is making me frustrated? And a lot of times it's us. You know, it's how we're choosing to show up for other people. But you're absolutely right that we do that. But when we're open and when we're honest and we're actually like, I guess open, our relationships are so much deeper and we can be so much happier.
Yeah, and if if you ask for flowers and he doesn't provide them for you, then it's your responsibility to go out and buy yourself flowers.
Also, you can do that too, right? It doesn't have to be from him. Yeah.
If it's important to you and you love flowers and that's what's important, there's always that route. And then he can see the joy that it's important to you, because some men need to see it. And then who knows? He might want to gift it to you next week.
Yeah, you don't know. And that's the thing that we also do is in relationships, and just, I think as humans, sometimes we expect other people to make us happy. Mm-hmm. Right? We're like, well, if they do these things, then I'll be happy, or we'll have a better relationship. And that's not necessarily true. Like, happiness comes from within, and it starts with our minds. So if we can really focus on changing our mindset, you have a path. As soon as circumstances are circumstances, right? So as soon as you stop in that circumstance, say, okay, wait, I'm thinking this. Is this my crazy thought, or is this legit? Then you have an opportunity to shift that.
Yeah, so you're in it, you have that moment. How can you create that moment? Like, take the time to know that it's that moment now to change the thought. Like, how do you
Well, first of all, it's not really easy, because you really are retraining your brain.
Yes.
You literally are. So in that moment, it's like a muscle. Okay, remember, I'm a fitness person, so everything analogy is always about the body. But it's like a muscle. A muscle starts pretty weak. It's up to you to work it and make it stronger by exercising it. And it's the same with the brain. Like, you have to, those synapses are going to start responding positively, but there's multiple things you can do. When you're in the moment, you really have to step back and be like, okay, is this crazy or not? But the other thing you can do is start putting positive things in your brain. Start, like, whenever you have the opportunity, give people the benefit of the doubt. Like, say, okay, is that really them? Ultimately, people are good. Yeah, sure, there's maybe some bad eggs out there, but overall, I think we're all trying to do the best that we can. And we're all different, which is beautiful. It's beautiful that we're all different. But because we're all different, we all respond differently. We all think differently. And so you just have to think, okay, this person, they have their stuff, but I've got mine. But I love this stuff about them. So is that worth it? Like, yes, it's worth it to treat them kindly and to give them the benefit of the doubt. But it is like a muscle. You have to work on it, and you have to, like, be diligent about those thoughts. But it gets easier.
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit. Like me, I'm a dancer, so I know it takes practice. Everything takes practice. Like, I just grew up that way. I never got anything until I practiced it. And I think that you even say that as a wellness expert, and who also, anyone who's ever trained in something, if you can apply that idea to your relationships, this is just practice. What can I practice today? Can you speak into that a little bit? You wanna?
Yes, actually, hopefully this speaks to that. But I had a thought as you were talking, is your relationships, are important. Everyone wants to feel connected and feel like they matter to other people. It's just natural, right? We're humans, and that's how we are wired. However, relationships do need to be healthy with yourself as well as with others. And so there are boundaries that you need to have in place. Like if things don't work for you, that's okay to be vulnerable and to be open and honest about that. And you could do it in like a careful way. Okay, so wait, ask me that one more time. I think I got off the
Well, I think
topic.
about practice, the idea of practicing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, practicing, but also feeling what feels good to you with your relationships. So if something is not jiving with that relationship, it's okay to say, hey, I'm feeling like whatever. Is that your intention? Because when you do that, you're also able to like deepen that relationship by understanding each other better. So just practicing those conversations, practicing those connections.
And
that
changing
kind of
those thoughts. Like, I just think that changing those thoughts are super important. And that, I always say, people have been married for, 15, 20 years. I'm like, you've been in this great container of experiment. How can you and I'm in this great container of experimenting. Like through dating, I always say like, let me just see what works, what doesn't work. It's like having this freedom, which is one of my superpowers, curiosity, freedom, openness. It's like really embodying that idea. And I know it's hard because so much has passed between your partner and you if you're involved for so many years, right? So can you maybe give some so you're going to change your thought, you're going to change the behavior. Can you, and you have to practice it, right?
You have to practice it. And I do want to say, if there is a descriptive word around your thought, because people will say, well, that thought is a circumstance. That person is a jerk. That's just who they are. No, that's a descriptive word. That's your opinion. That's not a fact, because people try and make things facts. So if it's descriptive, then that truly is your thought. And from there, you have your emotions, which create your actions and your results, right? So if you can be like, hey, that's descriptive, wait a second, because that's where you can stop yourself in the tracks and say, okay. Wait, that's okay. I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Then you can back up and be like, okay, let's do this differently now. So and you have it. Can
you give some more descriptive sentences that we say so we might identify what they are? Get more clear.
A lot of the descriptive words are going to be. I'm actually looking for some because I've written some down. It's anything descriptive. So even if it's positive, that woman is so beautiful. It's still your opinion. It's still that doesn't necessarily mean she is. That's like the opinion of beautiful. But descriptive words are going to be like, so feelings are going to be frustrated, happy, sad, lonely. Those are feelings, right? But descriptive words are going to be more like overbearing, hateful, arrogant, clever, forgetful. That woman is so forgetful. Is she though? Is she, or does that just not really matter to her and it matters to you? You have to like really step back and think about it. So anything descriptive, and there are lots of descriptive words out there. So you can even check your vocabulary and be like, I am saying this about this person. Wait, or I'm saying this about this. Okay, so another scenario. Let's say my mom walks through my door right now while I'm on this. I could say, my mom is so annoying. She has no boundaries. But does she? Do I let her do that all the time? Like, is it me that has, like, you teach people how to treat you, right? Like, it's up to you to put the boundaries in place and the respect so that people treat you that way, you treat people that way. So if she walks in the door and it just happens to be right now, I can be like, she's so overbearing. She's so frustrating. Or I can say, that's my mom again. She loves to come visit me because she loves me, and it's an opportune time. But at that moment, I can also say, Mom, I'm actually on this conference call can you come back later? I really appreciate that you stopped by.
Yeah, so sounds like an opportunity for you to be more loving, which is always a better opportunity than
Yes.
being critical and judgment and full of judgment.
Yeah. But people do that all the time. And, you know, and yes, I coach a lot of women, but just even this morning I was on a call and this lady, I coach her for wellness, like all of her food and all that kind of stuff. And we talked about it for literally 2 minutes. Everything else was about her frustrations around certain relationships. And so it's just interesting because it's just so connecting. Like, it's your relationships and your mindset really affect all these other areas of your life. And so if you could step back and just like help with that crazy brain, you're going to be happier. You're going to have more fulfilled relationships. You're going to do a lot better in your life.
Yeah, it sounds like it's interesting because it sounds like your life could be easier.
Yeah. And happier.
Happier.
You know, what if you showed up and met everyone in your life like positively?
Right.
What if you saw the good in everybody instead of the bad parts of them and of yourself? I mean, really yourself, because you tend to judge yourself a lot quicker than anybody else, right? Mm-hmm. So like, if you were to show up that way, what would the world look like if all of us women did that?
Yeah.
It would be different. It would be totally different.
Yeah, I think just knowing that, okay, I can either go down south or I can go, I can take it down or I can elevate.
Mm-hmm.
And to always choose to elevate, and in that is changing that thought at that moment, which does take practice. But I find myself like, oh, I want to automatically, but then I'm always like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Yes.
Let's give myself a minute before I respond.
But that's also really good advice there, right? Mm-hmm. Just to give a second before you respond. Take that second and then see what happens.
Yeah. I always say time is a great boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me a moment? It's like, especially because, to be honest with you, because I've always been very emotional person and not very verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Because of my dancing, I always express myself through movement and not my words.
Mm-hmm.
So many of us out there who are women who express through our art or express through our writing, it takes us, it takes practice to express through our words.
It's not always easy.
It's not always easy.
And there's also just some different personalities, right? You have your introverts, you have your extroverts, you have so many different types of people out there that you have to understand that everyone sees life through their own lens, and all of our lenses are different.
Yeah. So with that, I know you have a free gift for.
Yes, I do have a free gift. So it is just.
Chat.
Oh, perfect. So it's just the 3 pillars of wellness. And so I didn't really talk a lot about physical or relationships, but there's a lot in that PDF. But I do, in that PDF is also this whole scenario we just went through. And so it's just my 3 pillars of wellness that I coach around. If you wanted to have a complimentary session, it's also in there. So if you wanted to hop on with me for 25 or 30 minutes, I could point you in the right direction. But yeah, my 3 pillars of wellness is that.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, so it has it's good that it's written down, all of our talkings.
Yes, everything we just went through. So I actually did like the descriptive words and stuff like that. So it's in there. And then all my fitness tips that people are like, I just want to lose a few pounds. It's my fast start fitness tips. And then also relationships, how we can connect better.
Yeah. So I for the wellness, may I ask, so do you believe so I look at wellness and diets and stuff like that, and there's a lot of like these rules and tiny do you do less of that and more of about mindset and how to really let go of that control over there, or you're into that whole thing?
I do. It seems like I do a lot more work now around the mind, which also helps with everything else, your wellness, your weight loss, everything. But because I've been in that world for so long, it happens too. So yes, can I help you lose weight and be well? Absolutely. It is my jam. I love it. But what I found is really, it does start with the mind. It starts there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if this is like ready to have like transformation here, then you will. If this is not ready, then you won't.
Yes, as with everything in life, that's like number one. So right now is a round table. We're still missing our third speaker. I don't know what happened, but we're here, the three of us, for the round table, which I'm so excited about. And let's see. Let's pull some questions from the audience. Let's see. Well, let's talk about these blocks, because it's interesting because many people have the lingo, like someone, Arlene wrote, blocks to happiness. I have, how do I get rid of the blocks to my happiness? So I often get like these questions about, I'm going through these blocks and obstacles in my whatever. So can we actually kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what that means and what's happening, and because we're throwing this lingo out, and I'm wondering if it's sinking in, and what does it mean to us? Mm-hmm. So, Macy, you want to go first, or?
Sure. I mean, I love that we're going to talk about this more, because I feel like the whole idea that, just even saying blocks to happiness, there's something that's like saying that it's like there's no power around it. But the truth is, you get to choose things that make you happy. Probably the most annoying answer ever, because people, unfortunately, we kind of live in a world where we lead with our pain, and we lead with our drama and trauma and what's aching now, or oh gosh, crisis, this and that. Like, we have to make a choice for giving attention to those things that make us happy. And that's why one of the parts of Super Loved is really about getting clear about what you love and choosing those things, having community that you love, having people around you that you love, having environments that you love, looking in a way that I like to dress how love feels. Like, I don't leave my closet until I feel like excited about my outfit. It's a tool for me. So what if there's no block to happiness and it's a choice, and you're the only one who knows what's going to light you up?
Yes. Amy, you want to jump into this idea? What is a block, an obstacle? What's going on with that?
Well, I think there is actually a lot that goes on with that, starting with, sometimes it goes clear back to our childhood, where we feel like we don't deserve that, or we're not worthy of that. And so there's blocks in our head, like, let's just even talk about the weight loss for a second. Someone will believe that they can't lose weight because they've tried everything else, but they have that belief in their head, right? It's a block. It's a belief. It's a block. Either way, she is right that you choose it, but sometimes you can't even choose it because you don't feel worthy. So I always suggest you got to go back to like journaling. You got to like really self-discover, like, okay, so why am I feeling this way? And then as you write it down and you come to like some conclusion, a lot of times it is around, I'm not worthy, or I can't have this, right? There's money blocks. There's all kinds of different blocks. But when you believe that, you're going to receive that, right? So if you can write it down, see it for what it is, and then look at that and say, okay, do I truly believe this? Is this serving me? And if it's not, then let it go. I also talk about the forgiveness mantra, where you really just forgive yourself. So, okay, I am sorry that I did this to me. I actually think my forgiveness mantra is in that guide as well. But you got to forgive yourself or somebody else. And as you do, and you can do it by yourself. Say there's someone that wronged you, even a long time ago. So say you're a woman who struggled with sexual abuse as a kid or something. You can forgive that person. That doesn't mean you have to accept them back into your life, but you can forgive that person and do the whole forgiveness mantra in your bedroom without them there, and just let that go. Because when you let that go, you now are opening up to the possibility of choosing. She's like, I'm going to feel good in what I wear every morning, and I'm loving myself because of that. That's amazing. And that's great. Getting there sometimes is hard for people. It is a choice, but if you can't choose that, if something's going on, then journal it, look at it, ask yourself, is this serving me? If it's not, forgive and let go.
Yeah, and I think that when you say blocks to happiness, it's like, gosh, it's interesting because, you know, these blocks and the stories that we tell ourselves, even about the blocks, can block us.
Yeah.
It's like, it becomes this, you know, well, that's my block. I'm blocked, so I can't. But so...
You can keep going, sorry.
Yeah, so for me, you know, the idea is like, if you think you have a block of happiness, you need to go in there. You need to go in there, and you got to meet that block. You got to really go in there. It's like, what am I really saying to myself? Like Amy said, where's the evidence of it? You need at least 3 pieces of evidence for it to stand true. At least, okay? Is it true that you're blocked in your happiness? 3 pieces of evidence that that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And right? So, because what happens is we end up, things are just coming out of our mouth like clockwork, and we stay over and over again. But it's like, where's the evidence? Show me the evidence. And once you do that, you can then start showing the other evidence that that's not true, because maybe you were happy yesterday. If you were happy yesterday, it means you're not blocked. That's just a story you're telling yourself. So it's like this. This is why you need a coach. You need the coaches to this is what we do, is we question your statements. That's the beauty of coaching. And you're going to have to prove to your coach, if they're a good coach, you're going to have to prove to them 100% that that's true. If you can't prove it, then it's time to take steps to move forward. We as coaches don't allow our clients to stay still. We are like, got it? What's next? That's what coaches do. I don't know if you agree with that, but I don't want my clients to stay stuck. It's more like, this is happening, this is true, and now let's move forward. How do we get out of that circumstance?
Yeah, I think it's important to notice that, because it becomes a habit, because then it's like an unhappiness habit. And that's what I was talking about with the ways a lot of times we have habitual ways that just tend to create more unhappiness. The other question I like to ask people is, well, what is the benefit of you being unhappy in this moment? What is it actually creating? Because if you continuously are choosing unhappiness and getting into that rhythm, there may be some benefit. There may be something that it's creating. And I do agree with you, Amy. I mean, some of these things are deeper down worthiness issues, and you got to get, to the subconscious source of creation to change some things. But I think to me, it was really freeing, and it always is freeing, to remember that we do have choice, and we live in a universe of choice. And even if no one is happy around us, it doesn't mean that we can't find something. And I love that. Oh, there's two Amy's.
There's two of us.
The Amy's. Oh,
and we have Amy S's
just
also.
call me Amy.
S.
Yeah.
It's an Amy day. It's an Amy day.
It's awesome. I'm in an Amy universe. That's good because I was just coming out of a Stephanie universe. So yeah, I mean, I just love the, really being able to get, face to face with these blocks. And one of the things I notice with my clients is when they actually have that sensory experience of being stuck and moving into it, there's a process that I do with people called regenerating images and memory. When you move into it, oftentimes they'll get in there and they'll be like, oh, it's like, this is not what I thought it was, and then it changes.
Yeah, it's being okay too with not being the victim anymore. Because people sometimes love to be that victim, right? Because they have this narrative and they have this story and all these things have happened to them. And all those things have happened to them. But do you want to be happy or do you want to be the victim? Do you want to move forward or do you want to stay stagnant? Because there is that choice. We might have to get through some of those deep-rooted beliefs, but you absolutely can, and you can change your stars. It's up to you.
Yeah. And I know it's hard to see sometimes because you're in it. Like, we're in it. I was in my story for a long time. About I was shy. I'm shy. That was my story for a long time. But it was really, I was afraid to show myself is the real thing. I was afraid of judgment, rejection. I was afraid, of being out there and not getting what I wanted. I was afraid of having actually a goal and saying what I wanted to say, because then I might have to live up to it. Right? So that story and that block, I'm shy, so therefore I can't. Right? Wasn't even true. As you can see, I am not shy. I was afraid to shyness is not my thing. I was actually afraid to show up as me, as myself. But
and there's a lot of fear. You just said I was scared of this. This was scary. I was fearful, and there can be a lot of fear around that. But how amazing is it, and how liberating is it to you to right now that you're on this and that you're doing this, and that you are showing up? It's got to feel really great.
Yes, and that's the deal. It's like when when you've kind of gone through certain things and you let go of certain stories and you let yourself be happy and loving. It's not a scary process. It's scary to stay stuck, right? That's where the pain is. The pain isn't actually being where I'm at today. The pain was staying where I was. But somehow in our mind, we think the pain is getting out of it. But it's not. That's where we liberate, right? That's where we get to find ourselves and liberate who we are. But somehow we have it backwards. Does anyone want to speak into why we have it backwards? Or do you think what I'm saying resonates? Or
do you want to go? Or do you want me to?
Sure. I mean, I just feel like we have to look at the world that we're in and, not standing out is actually kind of comfy for people. Like if you were to be so happy, how many people would hate you? I mean, honestly, and how many relationships would you lose if you didn't have that? So I think it's kind of interesting to start looking at all of the aspects of, the actual risk of liberation. I mean, and still, what would be possible if you'd be willing to be adored and in love and rich and skinny. I don't mean this one. I'm just
all the things.
Fit. Yeah, it's a better word. And so it's just being aware that, to your point, Amy, about the shyness, it's like, okay, you didn't want to be judged, but judgment's going to happen no matter what. Like, you're going to get judged for something.
Yeah.
And, how much can we, really develop our own personal development skills to be happy and not be afraid of any judgment, because it's going to happen anyway.
I love that you said that, because it's, no matter how many times we hear it, it is a good reminder. And I think it's a good reminder for everybody. It doesn't matter what other people think of us. It matters what we think of ourselves. And if we're not thinking highly of ourselves, we need to go back and answer the question, why? What do we need to do? But sometimes it's easier to be comfy and be quiet. I know in my life, I went through some really hard lessons with relationships with my ex-husband and with a couple family members, where I came to a point where I really couldn't have them in my life for a while. I had to recreate boundaries, and that was really hard, because I had taught them how to treat me, which was not good. They did not treat me well, but I allowed it for a long time. So once I didn't allow it, I did lose those relationships. But what's crazy is the family relationships, they were gone for a couple of years, and it was really hard because I loved them. It's my family. Mm-hmm. But after that, and the time goes by, and we put more into these relationships, I am now solid with all of those relationships. And guess who treats me better now? So, and it was really hard, but how great is it now that they treat me well, I treat them well, we have a good foundation, they know their boundaries, I know mine, and it's become beautiful. So you might lose relationships, but guess what? They might come back to you and be even better later, because of choosing to be genuine and authentic and yourself and respect yourself.
Yeah, I think that's important, because we're afraid of losing those relationships, but those relationships are hurting us, and that, people don't want to hurt us purposely. I don't believe that. It's just that the system we set up needs to be broken and reset. Like, it's just like a reset. So that, I've done it too, where it's like, yeah, you can't speak to me that way anymore, because I will just walk out the door. Like, I will interact with you the way I used to. Change the dynamics. And I think we're kind of speaking into finding the badass person that I once was. I think we're kind of speaking into that a little bit. Like, how do we become more badass? Or, finding that spark. Sounds like there's some grit, some spark. I've got lots of that. I got a lot of that, grit. So I think what we're speaking into is like really getting back, letting the story go that you're no longer a badass. Right? So I think, does anyone have anything else they want to speak on this?
I think we kind of covered it, really.
A lot.
Right? I feel like we did.
We went pretty deep in many different directions, that's for sure. So let me find one more question. And we talked about soulmates already, or the one, right? Let's see. And we talked about relationship with spouse a bit, like changing your, So let's talk a little bit about relationships with spouse or with your boyfriend, or, when you're dating. It's like, I think I don't know if we went into that, but let's just talk about that a little. Who wants to talk into, how to start changing your relationship with your spouse or with the person you're dating? Like, how can you start?
Do you want to go? Yeah,
you can go.
Okay, I'll go. I do think it starts with yourself again. You need to see, where are you showing up in this relationship? A lot of times you go down this relationship path, you get complacent, you've been together, things can get boring, or you can get really annoyed at stupid little things and start not really appreciating the other little things that you loved. You can get into this little downward spiral or just like cycle. And so I do think you continually have to date your spouse and look at them like through when you get married, or when you're just even dating, you kind of have to still look through those lenses of the infatuation lenses, like what was it that you're so obsessed about? But if you can recognize how you're showing up in that relationship, it's going to serve the relationship. Are you still doing the little things? Are you still making them feel loved and important? A lot of times those relationships start decreasing when you are being more selfish, and when you're like looking inward, like they're not doing this for me anymore. So you need to think, okay, what am I doing for this relationship? Am I showing up the best that I can to serve this relationship the way I know how?
Macy?
Yeah, I love that. I agree. I mean, one of the things that my husband and I did early on, which was very helpful, was we really created like a little map, like a love map. And it was him and me, and then the relationship was up here. It was like this higher level. And in that like higher level bubble, that's what we named it, the choose love space. And because we had a couple times we fought and we lost a couple days. And I thought, you know what? I waited a really long time to get this relationship. I don't want to waste days not liking each other. And so we made it an agreement, and it really was the first step in helping us practice getting our ego out of it and going, wait a minute, what's going to create the most here? And having a plan ahead of time. And I think that's really big. How are you preparing ahead of time for conflict? Like being able to know how, like, for example, one of the things I learned through even deeper work with this with my husband was that I know that if I touch him and just like put my hand on him, or give him a hug, that's going to regulate him. That's going to support him. For me, I really benefit from sound bites like, hey, we got this. Everything's going to be okay. That kind of stuff, rather than what he used to do, which was go on this whole rant or take it personally and then make him about him. And then we're like in a fight. So it's really learning what are those things, learning about each other and knowing, okay, what is it that I can be that's actually going to make you greater for me? Which sounds a little selfish, but in the end, it's great for everyone. What can he do for me that makes me better for him? And that changed a lot of things.
Yeah, and I want to add that I just got done doing a 5-day challenge, how to reconnect, light it up, it was called. Reconnect and reignite your love in your relationship in 5 days or less. And it's interesting, when I did that challenge, it's the small things that really uplift your partner. I mean, one of the assignments one day was to do write on 10 sticky notes and put them throughout the house so your partner could find them. Create a happiness list, like what makes you happy, what makes him happy, so you can actually, like, I don't know, if watching football makes him happy, let him have that. Give him his happiness. Find out so you can, like, be loving and gracious, or maybe buy him a coffee mug with his favorite team on it. Simple stuff. And I think sometimes, we think we need to sit down, have a conversation about, but it's really just more like just be a little bit more light in your relationship, and as you say, more loving and gracious about what the other person likes and appreciates, so that you can actually support them in that. It was a beautiful 5-day challenge. It was like lots of changes and very happy partners. Does anyone else want to speak on relationship with spouse? I hope that helped you in you out in the audience. All right. Yes.
I'll say one more thing
Okay,
around
yes.
it.
Yes.
Is the other thing, you kind of hit on it a little bit, but also celebrate and respect each other's individuality.
Yeah.
We are all different for reasons. So we do have different likes, but how good does it feel when you go do something you love without your spouse or without your partner, and you come back and they're like, hey, how did it go? Tell me about it. I want to hear about it,
Yes.
And it's just a positive thing, versus you come back and they're like, you were gone for 5 hours. That was a long time. And I am so sick of these kids. The difference is very drastic, but when you celebrate and applaud your individuality and the things that you love, and you also meet each other and allow each other to do them, then you're going to grow closer in your relationship as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. And with that, I know you guys have, let's see, Macy, I know that you have a Launch Ladies Love Attraction Toolkit. One more offering for our audience. Can you speak into that?
Yes. So I have the Love Attraction Toolkit, which is a great collection of tools. And all of these tools can be used within like 5 minutes or less. And they are tools that I use all the time. And they're really supporting in manifesting more of what you want, creating that frequency in your life that is super attractive. And it helps with emotional stuff, mindset stuff, like releasing stuff from the past, having more fun. And so I can't remember exactly what this special offer was, but
Moonclerk, it says. Moonclerk.com, something like that.
okay, yeah, so that must be the link to it. So anyway, yeah, I encourage people who, if you're wanting to create your love relationship, this is a great way to start changing the energy. The other thing is when you get it, there will be an opportunity for you to just message me and say, hey, here's what's happening for me.
Right.
Direct me to the best tools, and I'll give you the top 3 tools to start.
Mm-hmm.
Because it may be worthiness, it may be releasing anger, it may be getting more clear on your love story, it may just be needing some energetic tools that attract, and I can guide you in that.
Great. Thank you. And then Amy, I know you have a session, right?
Yeah. So, and you can go to that session. Oh, you have it right there.
Yeah.
She has it. So she's on top of it. That's it. Yeah.
I'm moderator. I'm the host and the moderator.
You're doing a good job.
So you want to speak into that a little bit? Sorry.
Yeah. So this session, so I do a lot with like the limiting beliefs and the mindset, and we go through scenarios. So in this coaching session, it is complimentary, and we will take you through a coaching session that helps you with like one specific thing that you're struggling with, so that you can move forward from there.
Mm-hmm. Well, ladies, you guys are getting out of school early because we're short one speaker. As I say, this is a live event. This is not pre-recorded. So we go with the flow. And as I said, this is evidence of I am a past perfectionist kind of person. But thank you, ladies, for all of your insights. As always, whenever I meet you beforehand, I always talk with my speakers before we are here today, and I always I love your guys' energy and your willingness to show up for people in general, and for this instance, our audience, and for me, I really appreciate you. So
Thank
say
you.
yeah. So
Yes,
say your
thank you.
goodbyes.
Thank
All
you for the opportunity, and
Yeah.
we appreciate it.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
All right. So with that, we're going to, there we go, and there we go. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you again for being part of the Unstoppable You community. You know, I always learn so much from all of these lives. I hope that you do too. This is a monthly live stream, so, and we will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow there is another group of experts who are excited to meet you, excited to get your questions answered. If you got the survey but you didn't put your input in, go ahead and go back, find that email, and put your answers in, because I will be looking for your questions tomorrow. Because this live, my vision behind this is like you guys and your questions actually really guide the live in so many ways. Nothing scripted, and I just feel like you guys you want your questions answered, and if I can provide that for you with all these experts in front of us, in front of you and me, it's like I'm gonna do it for you. And as always, if you want to move forward in your life and you feel like you are ready to make changes that and you want to stop being stuck, either in your relationship, in your life, in your business, and you are ready to take steps forward, I put my Calendly link into the chat box. Also, you have access to me through email all the time. Tomorrow's going to be awesome. Today was, thank you for all your comments. I appreciate you. And with that, go have a beautiful rest of your day.